Hello, all you fuckers out there. I know you guys are waiting for it. I'm gonna start the fucking podcast out with a couple of cuss words. This is Jabriel from the Infinity Warmup podcast. My co-host here, Trey, say hi.
Hey, I'm sure nobody is still listening to us, Jay. It's you're already alienating people with the profanity that don't even want to hear this to begin with.
That's because fucks don't want to hear what we have to say. You have to, it's just like any job interview you ever do. You have to lay it all out there on the line because as of day one, you find out I'm a fucking asshole.
It's just like, me. I curse a lot. You can either accept me or okay.
You guys hired me. This is who I am. But yeah, it looks like we are back for which episode? Which numerical episode is this? Is this 6?
Oh, that's a curveball. I think we're on 7 right now, dude. How you feel about cranking out 7 of these and not being any better at it, other than audio quality? I feel like I've gone through escalating levels of expensive microphones, so that the dumb stuff we say sounds better.
That is true.
There's something good.
A lot of the effort I put into this podcast ended up going into work that is being done by machines. You better pick me up at 20,000 decibels all the way down to negative. I don't know.
So yeah, 7 episodes in, and this is a Thor The Dark World, Thor 2, canonically.
The Dark World.
This one is directed by Alan Taylor. He's also the director of Terminator Genesis and a few Game of Thrones episodes. Are we Game of Throners here?
Hey, I'm a Game of Thrones fan. I love it. I'm all the way caught up, too.
He's directed like 6 or 7 of them, but most noticeably, or most recently, he did the Beyond the Wall episode for this previous season of Game of Thrones, where everybody goes and wrestles zombie polar bears. And,
the zombie dragon? Did he have anything to do with the zombie dragon? Yeah,
he's responsible for killing a dragon. Granted, it's not the one we care about. Drogon is still safe, but Rhaegar, is that his name, Rhaegar?
I'm not that much of a nerd.
How sad is it? There's only 3 in existence, and he killed one of them, and we don't even know its name.
Well, you say it's killed, but it's on another team.
Oh, and, that's right. It did. It just got a hole in its chest and switched sides. Spoiler for the Night King.
Well, it's very important.
Way, I'm on Team Night King now.
Yeah.
For this upcoming season.
How are you not?
I think everybody is an irredeemable douchebag.
Well, because
I'm rooting for an army of dark elves.
And because they're kind of like the zombies, right? The zombies of this whole, of this mytholic, I don't know, this world that we're watching, Game of Thrones. And how are you not on the zombie side when it's like, yo, we bite you, you turn into one of us, and we can think, or our leader can. And we seem to be unstoppable. Oh yeah, we got the airways covered. We can fly. You know what's next? I'm gonna fucking harpoon a shark. We're gonna take over the underworld. Aquaman, we're coming for you.
Sadly, they're hive-minded, kind of like the Chitauri. So you know, if you take out the leader, like they're all just gonna and then turn into bones. So that's definitely how the series is. Spoiler alert for the end of Game of Thrones. I talked to George R.R. Martin, and all the zombies are just gonna and fall down at the end of this, and then the heroes win.
We should get him on for the podcast.
Until then, I'm Team Zombie, Team Dark Elf, and hostile takeovers.
And as much as we all know what's more than likely going to happen is the good guys are going to win, it's going to be the drive to get there. You're right, even though you didn't say that. But the part about the whole zombie thing.
The joy about Game of Thrones is that good guys isn't really so cut and dry. I mean, like, not the zombies are gonna win, but who are the good guys in this scenario?
True. It's person versus person, and then those persons are both versus the zombies. The part that this reminded me of, and I know you didn't really play RPG games, I don't think, growing up, but I played Final Fantasy 10, and we were definitely friends by then, so I don't know if you played it as well, but at the end, pretty sure this is part 10, at the end it's like there's this thing where like all of the what do they even call those gods or those demons that you end up summoning? And they just called them summons. They were on your menu. Aeons?
Aeons.
Okay, they were called good fiends, I guess, in part 8 GF. Well, anyways, those creatures that you would call Bahamut, Shiva, Ifrit, all those ones, the ones that you had and collected up to this point just turned evil on you, so you had to fight and kill them. Here's the thing, is you could still use them. So you could use Bahamut versus Bahamut. So I ended up using Bahamut first, using Mega Flare, and just taking out all these summons that were going to kill me. Like Shiva was going to fuck me up until... Anyways, the point is about the Game of Thrones thing is like, yeah, we got dragons too. Yeah, but ours is dead. Okay? So this one is not... It's not that we took one of yours out. It's on our side now, and it's more than likely stronger than yours. For whatever reason, because it's dead?
That's who? Yeah, no, that's not even a thing. That's not been established.
Well, okay.
I'm mad that there are holes in its wing. That is not aerodynamically sound.
Well, okay, tell me how...
Dragons are too heavy to be up there to begin with. You put holes in its wings.
Yeah, okay, no, yeah, good call. Good call. The thing I'm saying is, how do you kill one of these, what are they called? The ice creatures? I forgot. The
white... Okay. No, I know the rules. Fire only kills the White Walkers, but the whites themselves you have to kill with dragon glass. Yes! I'm so proud of myself for that.
Okay, yeah, all right. So how would you kill the dragon? That's my point. So even if you have two dragons, we have one that's special. Like yours just needs to run out of blood.
Get up in there with Longclaw, yo. You gotta get some Valerian steel and get all up in there.
So if they didn't have a leg up before, right?
It's not going to be easy.
And they're going to take a year off. They're not coming back till what, next year? 2019?
2019, yeah. So hey, does that mean that our that this movie is in good hands directorially with Alan Taylor? I mean, he made us all feel when they were dragging dragon number 3 out of the water in chains. Like he's a solid guy.
Scene was so cool too. I mean, when you're looking at it like that, you're saying he directed Thor, so I would assume that it's good as well. It's really all I can...
Thor 2, Kenneth Branagh did not come back for this one, creative disputes and whatnot. In fact, they were going to get Patty Jenkins, the lady who directed Wonder Woman, before they ended up settling on Alan Taylor. And it pissed Natalie Portman off. And that's kind of why I think she's not in Thor 3. But she was very upset to find that Patty Jenkins was not going to be directing this installment of Thor 2.
Can you write this down? Because, or I guess I could. Because I want to bring up Natalie Portman as a very important character later. And I wonder what they're going to do with her. Or we can talk about it now if you don't mind jumping on that. Because I assume you're going to be the one keeping the direction of this show. And keep it going in one direction.
This thing doesn't go off the rails. Sure. Bring up Natalie Portman. Right now, since I imagine we're probably not going to talk about her. What do you have to say about it?
Well, she seems to be a prominent character in the series, not including part 3, because that is a good point. But the scenes they showed her and Sif on the same screen, was Sif kind of giving her that weird look, like a bitch. I know you're after my man, but yada yada. I'm gonna get this guy too.
That's definitely how it was portrayed. But those two don't really know each other, and Thor doesn't ever talk about Sif when he's not around Sif. Like, he could give a fuck less that this bitch is in love with him.
That's like his prearranged marriage, right?
They were doing like that reverse shot where they were giving each other the stink eye, like, ooh, you got my man type of deal. But like, no, Sif is not even in the ballpark.
She didn't do anything. Natalie Portman was sitting there. Sif knew what was going on because she's like, well, I guess I'm going with the guys over here to go fight crime while there's this fucking damsel over here that the god of fuck this place. Okay, but my question is, since they're obviously, to jump ahead to Thor 3 really quick, let's make this clear if we didn't before.
Okay.
In the comics, Hela is not Odin's daughter, but his granddaughter. Not even biologically his granddaughter, because she's the daughter of Loki. So they are fucking around with, a little bit of the story.
I think that's Norse mythology. I'm pretty sure that it's just Odin's daughter. And
when did you ever hear about Thor having a sister? Tell me.
In Thor Ragnarok.
Okay.
In the third one.
All right, so they're making stuff up movie for movie. It kind of seems.
Well, I mean, just, Hela hasn't been important for like 5,000 years. Well, why bring her up in the last 2 movies?
There's other characters. I don't know. I think they're going in the direction of Ragnarok, which I think is kind of weird to begin with. Ragnarok just seems to be, at its core, Ragnarok means the end of Asgard, right?
Okay, essentially.
So anytime someone wages war on Asgard, they're assuming they're all fucking crossing their fingers, Ragnarok, right?
All right.
Is this Well, this movie might have been Ragnarok if he won, right? Oh, yeah, I think the answer is yes.
I mean, you could definitely call it.
They wage war on the Asgardians.
I would just like name it like a hurricane, like the big old bomb or whatever that's sweeping through the Northeast.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. It's like when
Dark Elf is there, Katrina, where the levees broke and Heimdall couldn't see shit. It was all bad. Just sad jazz music playing.
Exactly. Yeah, it's that scene they had in part 3 where what's his name, Seraph, or what's that guy, the fire giant? Surtur. He just kept talking about it like it was this thing that was going to happen, but it literally just meant, okay, at some point you guys are going to get, Asgard is the land of the good guys. We're kind of assuming just because they're in charge, because they won, because Odin and his dad or whatever, just they own everything. It's just like, look, we are in charge. If some shit goes down, we'll show up to your planet and fuck you guys up. You guys hear me, Rhea? Talking to you. Valdenheim.
Yeah, there's so many different realms that we visited 2 new ones. Where I want to get the spelling of this one right.
One of them starts with an S, right? It's the Dark World.
Yeah, the Dark Elves are from a place called Svartalheim. Yeah, Svartal Heim. And we get to go to another Heim. I think it's Anaheim. Where the Asian dude's from, so next to Disneyland.
Wait a minute, we need to go
where
back.
They destroyed mid-movie.
As much as I like where we're going with this, I wanted to talk about Natalie Portman. So her and
and then we gotta back way up, but go on.
And the girl's name is Sif. Okay, isn't there's a character in Thor that isn't being displayed yet, and she's in love with him very much, and she becomes a bad guy, right? The Enchantress?
You're talking about a DC film.
Why do you not know these things? You don't know who the Enchantress is?
From the DC film Suicide Squad, I'm familiar with her.
I swear that's her name. I thought she has a green outfit. She has, she basically feels the way about Thor, I don't know, she's a character who's somewhat of a goddess, I think, if I'm remembering correctly.
No, this is Lady Sif. In the comic books, Lady Sif is always played off as Thor's begrudging love interest. Thor doesn't really care.
But she ends up becoming a bad guy, trying to get him. It was more of a, if I can't have Thor, no one can kind of thing.
You don't know must be another Asgardian, because I don't think it's Sif. Sif is pretty unanimously on his side.
Look up the Enchantress on your computer, man. You got that open. Okay.
I will do it on the first break. Give pinky promise.
I have to go back to this now. God dang it. I was going to say, it's on a one-sided conversation, something I read a little bit earlier. That character has not been implemented yet, and if you see, there's already 2 women, in a sense, fighting for Thor. One of them has reason to go rogue and just become a bad guy, and I'm thinking that might be Sif. And since they're not opposed to the idea of changing the storyline from the comics per se, I think that this might be something that they're going to do in the future. Possible.
Well, they have no bones about changing the story, as long as there's some kind of groundwork, bare bones, just to appease fanboys and whatnot. But which 2 are you talking about that would possibly lead to something different?
Well, which 2? The 2 characters I was saying, which is Portman and Sif. They're both. So I don't know much about Sif, which is another thing we need to go into. But I think that they could dress her up as this character, which I'm pretty sure is the Enchantress. She's.
No. I see what you're saying, but no, that's not what they're trying to do with her. And I do totally agree with you that she's incredibly underserved. In fact, I think all of the Warriors 3 are sort of underserved, and I do want to go into that when we start talking about the movie proper. But
okay, hold on. I'm sorry. So you keep saying the Warriors 3. Here's another thing Marvel needs to fix. No, it's nothing. It's not. I'm not mad at you. I'm mad at what Marvel and how they're portraying shit. Here's another thing I see. I want to talk shit about this movie before I talk about how much I like it. Not even just movie, but the MCU. Hey, Marvel, why don't you tell you played Borderlands before, Trey? Maybe.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Well, every first appearance of a character, when they show up, they do this graphic intro and they write their name, and then they do a freeze frame and they go, "Look, this is Super Mega Non-Droid."
Right. Okay.
There's all this shit going on in the Marvel Universe that I don't know about, and I'm watching the movie. The Warriors 3, every battle scene that they're in together, I don't know their names. I don't know what's special about them other than they can hold their own. They're no Thor, neither one of them. They're pretty good. There are these two owls that show up in the movie that have names that Odin, they're like his spy owls. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
These are characters. They weren't just made up for the movie. They have, in fact, there's a scene where one of them flies back to Odin and he's talking to them while they're in this Coliseum, and it's like, yo, what the fuck, man? Can you just bump? This is Gym and that's Gunder.
Yeah,
Whatever
these are things that get paid lip service to, and I kind of felt the same way about Cap's Howling Commandos. They're throwing them in there, but they do have potential to be not so much more important characters, but fleshed out. I felt like this movie was in a bit of a rush in that regard with just chugging along with the story, that there isn't really like a banquet table Last Supper kind of scene where we get to know these guys. Like even spoiler alerts for later on in this movie, Frigga's funeral, Thor's mom, like it was all kind of like just set to beautiful music but played wordlessly, and like, you know, Asgard looks wonderful, but like, tell me something about, like, somebody deliver a eulogy or something. Like, who are these people that we've lost? But a lot of Sif and the Warriors 3 get that kind of treatment, and I feel like, you know, Wonder Woman did a great job of showing off how her 4 or 5 pals were all necessary and 3-dimensional characters in their own right, and you never really get that sense with Lady Sif and the Warriors 3.
Yeah. I agree with that last part. I don't know that they needed dialogue during the scene, because I agree with everything. The music was great, and then the ambiance, everything looked really nice. But I mean, it just seemed like I was drawing that line from there to what they did in Guardians 2, where it was just a really long scene. This one seemed a little different because it was like, this set up the rage in the rest of the characters in the movie. It's like, because this is a funeral for everyone that just got slain when the Dark Elves showed up, but also the Queen. So guess what? The King is really mad, and so is his son, who's actually in good health. Because what's Odin gonna do?
Yeah.
Am I wrong?
I mean, he's been dying for the last 3 movies now, and maybe to segue back to not this movie while we dig through the beginning of this, let's go straight to that post-credit scene that you were talking about. You mentioned Guardians of the Galaxy earlier, and this was the post-credit sequence that first sets up Benicio del Toro as the Collector, who I'm so impressed. He manages to look tired in every theatrical outing he's ever been in. I don't know what kind of fucking CGI that is to just put massive bags under his eyes and make him start snoring midway through his sentences. But it's incredible. It's fucking incredible how just so sleepy he is. But yeah. So at the end of this, and honestly with Thor, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the Marvel Cosmic side of the universe is getting much bigger. So with that said, we are almost a month away from Black Panther coming about.
Black Panther, baby! Oh, dude,
bringing another Earth-based aspect to the MCU. Are you on the hype train for that movie yet?
No, and just like when we were talking to Homeboy earlier, I don't really do that whole. The only time I'll see like a trailer for my new favorite movie if I'm at the movie, and even for those, like
you can't really see no evil, hear no evil. That you can't plug your ears and just la la. It's too loud.
Okay. One, I don't have cable. All right, so I'm not seeing anything that way. And if I have to actually select on my Facebook page to go look the new Avenger, I guess I don't remember what after that was. I think it was for the Avengers 3. Didn't the preview come out for that already too? No?
Yeah, the Infinity War trailer.
There we go.
It was a huge deal.
I watched it probably a week after it came
internet. I think it set a record for like most viewed trailer of all time, which I think that's starting to be an unfair statistic.
You want to know why?
Why?
Because population increase.
Well, all right, Bill Burr, but yes, that and more
No,
access to the means to view a trailer within 5 seconds of the trailer launching. So yeah, yeah.
True. Yeah. It's not fair. It's okay, fine. But Bill Burr's a genius. You can't compare people exactly today to what was going on back then, whether it be sports, whether it be money. This is what you have to, it has to be based on percentage. So I know you talked about something earlier. I don't exactly want to ruin it, but you just kind of mentioned Avengers Infinity War had the first biggest, blockbuster preview of this. Black Panther's going to have the biggest whatever sales, but guess what? It's hard to
pre-release ticket sales than any other movie in history. Now, I get what you're saying, that that's sort of a hard thing to judge given that it's 2017 and now you can get your pre-release, but I'm sure there's been a system for getting your tickets prior to a movie coming out for a while, and this one has set the record for people who have done that. So everybody
it's
and
one
their
of those
mother
things that
and brother and sister are jazzed up to see this Black Panther movie.
It's like voting. It's just like, well, I mean, I didn't, so I'm not going to pre-do any of it because I have the movie pass. I'm just going to see it a few days after it comes out. But
yeah,
I'm stoked for it. I don't want to hate on it. It's just really hard. It's like when I talk to an insurance agent, and this doesn't happen too often, but when I've moved counties, they're just like, you're in a more highly populated county. I'm just like, okay. And there's like, your insurance rate's going to go up, and I'm like, why? There's more cars over there. And
okay.
I literally had
Is that
to stop.
Literally a reason?
That's not how statistics work. More cars does not equal more accidents percentage wise.
I'd argue on their behalf, or at least nod, because that sounds like something that could be statistically true.
Oh yeah, so, of course, yeah. If there are more, okay, if there's 2 cars on the road, the odds of an accident are very slim. 100, locate less slim. 1,000, less. I get how that works, but because there's more cars doesn't mean I'm gonna get into the accident. Like I'm gonna get in the accident whether it's here or there. It's like. There's more cars, therefore you have to pay. No, it's just because I moved.
If I'm an insurance broker, I'm definitely charging you $5 more for for just being around more cars.
And it goes with everything else. Everything else costs more here too. That's just their reason for it. But you cannot say that statistically more accidents happen here as well. It has to be based on percentages because the number. It's like saying, "Yo, I make $20 an hour." Okay. But if this is a movie that starts off with a guy saying, I make $20 an hour, what's your first question? Hey, what year is it, fucko?
Okay.
Because 2001, 1964, and 2028 have all different answers of what your life is like making $20 an hour.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm willing to see your point as far as overbloated statistics for movies go. I mean, honestly, my main concern is the kickback, because 2017 is a unique time in that everybody gets to vent their frustrations and hatreds at a breakneck pace. And That's my true. God, I think there's just going to be such an insane backlash of Haiti white people that are not going to be a fan of the direction that this movie portrays its protagonist in.
Okay, it's when it comes to shit like that, you just got to take it at face value. Is it going to be, and I assume it's not, is it going to be one of those shows where it's like, I know this seems very stupid, but there's a lot of shows out there that's like, say, Married with Children. I love it. It's a classic comedy. But if you ever saw anybody in there who wasn't white, they were the pick-on person. That is the stupid person. They stand out. They're not like us. And when black people as a community were making their own shows and they wanted to populate everybody with black characters, it's like, that's fine. But you can't talk shit when you throw a white character in there and go, because then you're doing the same exact thing.
Oh yeah, I mean, we're not beyond being petty by any means.
So,
but
yeah,
I mean,
if that's what they do, is if they throw one white character in and he's the fuck up, then yeah, you guys, this is reverse racism, whatever you want to call it. But if it's just all black, it's Wakanda. I don't, dude. I'm stoked because I'm that perfect person. I'm that patriot who doesn't see color. No, it's because I once I found out about Black Panther, which I don't know, a couple of years ago. it was like I saw him, I guess, show up on a cartoon or two, or maybe like an animated movie. And other than that, I don't read any comic books. I look him up online. I'm like, where does he stand as far as skill? And as far as I know, I keep saying this, and I'm probably wrong. If there's ever a Batman of the Marvel Universe as far as hand-to-hand combat goes, his name is Black Panther, right? Like, this dude
essentially, yeah,
would fuck up Batman. More than likely, you think he'd beat him?
Yeah, he's constantly beating Tony Stark in the comics and outsmarting Reed Richards and all that jazz. Yeah.
Smart, fast as fuck, strong. Like, he took out the Fantastic Four in this one episode. But that's hard to take at face value, too, because if you watched an episode of Fantastic Four and you dropped off War Machine, he would take over, beat everybody up, because that's just how it works, right? Every time a good guy goes rogue, all the bad guys are powerless to stop him at first.
Yeah, that's how they play most of the interactions when people meet the Black Panther. Like, the fuck is this guy? Why is he so good at all this shit? It's not fair.
Yeah, he's the one out to kill everyone. Everyone has their boxing gloves on, and he has a knife out. I see it. I see that. I understand that, but he's just. What does the suit do for him, man? Can you give us some insight before we see the movie?
I mean, I'm sure they're going to go into it, but we saw in The Winter Soldier that it's, bulletproof and all that shit. Vibranium claws come out of it and whatnot. It more for this movie than, any other period in black-centric, like, television shows. Man, I'm bad at this. Give me whatever the one Steve Urkel's in, Fresh Prince, or
Family Matters,
and even before then, blah blah blah. You never really get to see this weird Afro-futuristic sort of, like, not only were they not taken from Africa, but they stuck around and made Africa this weird, super, like, technically advanced with all this black iconography throughout history. Like, this is going to throw a lot of people for a loop. I'm really hoping that this movie is as good as people say it is. But I also want, like, a serious-minded journalist to, like, ask Donald Trump, like, hey, man, what are you going to do about this nation of Wakanda? They're amassing weapons. Like, how do you feel about their stockpiles of vibranium that they're storing up? Do you think that's something the U.S. needs to address? Like, just to see, because, Trump doesn't take notes on anything. Do you think he's going to, that shithole country, we're going to rain fire and fury down on these bastards. Wait, it's a comic book? I didn't know it's a comic book.
Well, speaking seriously on this joke point right here, I don't think they'll ever actually use the president in the movie to play the president, so it would be someone different than him.
Yeah. But I honestly feel like I know that Marvel Comics used Barack Obama, but I don't recall if they used Clinton or Bush explicitly beforehand. But I don't think anybody is just allowed to use Trump's image and likeness.
They just make all the white people look
publication
the same, right?
history.
This white guy with facial hair.
You can caricature it up. Yeah.
I mean, once the president's black, it's like, all right, we know who it is.
You can just so generic. Yeah. All right. Okay. So before we take our little first break, Jabriel, is there anything else that you wanted to throw at our listeners and or viewers as far as what you've been watching recently? What did you do in our hiatus since the last episode?
I've been watching more Rocky movies, man. I don't know why I'm the only person around who's seen these other than my girlfriend, but she and her family, I guess, are big into it, and I felt like I should have seen it as a kid, so why not now?
They're all dead now from head trauma. Immediately after you watch a Rocky, you want to go out and be Rocky. And they just took one too many to the face, and now nobody who's seen a Rocky movie is alive to tell about it, except for Sylvester Stallone, and he suffers from it every day. You can tell
the first movie.
Talking one of the Russians got him in the face a little too hard.
Now, there was some changes, I think, around Rocky the third one, where... was it the third or the fifth? See, the problem with watching it was the fourth one I saw first, and then I went and saw the first three, and then I skipped the fourth and went to the fifth.
Oh, because you don't like when things make sense? Okay.
Dude, it's like, you know what? If you've never seen any of these movies, I don't know that it was like watching the Harry Potter 5th movie and never seeing the first 4.
Most assuredly not. I don't think that's even close to an accurate comparison. But go on.
Look, the point is, he needs to be an Avenger. God damn it, you don't understand. Here's what I like about watching Rocky nowadays, is because it's my first run through or whatever, is they dress this movie up from the beginning that this is basically what we're going to show you of Sylvester Stallone doing doesn't make sense in any way, comically, physically, but it's going to happen. It's going to happen on camera. He's going to race Apollo Creed, who's 7 inches taller and black, and he's going to win. He's going to fight Mr. T, this giant Russian, Hulk Hogan.
How are you still amassing genuine hype for something from 20 years? I mean, okay.
That's the hardest pill to swallow, is because I didn't watch boxing back in these times. So when I'm watching Rocky 3, which came out in like 1980, I'm just like, why is there no weight division still? He's 190 pounds. This guy's 250. They just fight. And
you've seen at least 2 more movies since the last time I tried to get you to shut up about this. What division did we find out are they fighting in? Is it the heavyweight divion yet? Did they tell you? What belt are they going after that Creed's
title,
wearing?
Which is the world title is the heavyweight, right?
See, that's just the idealistic view of boxing right there. There's 4 main belts that you have to remember.
I know. I know like this is a movie.
Different weight class.
Look, this is a movie that was written by a kid with a crayon, right? And we don't know what color the crayon was. It doesn't matter.
The color of head trauma.
My point is they just showed this guy on camera just doing shit that it's literally like when you watch Captain America and it's like he just jumped out of the helicopter. Like, yeah, he brought a parachute, but he didn't use it. All right.
So we're gonna give
as a superhero. You know he's taken some serum and he's super. Rocky stands there for 16 rounds and lets Mr. T beat the shit out of him. And then okay, wait, no, that didn't happen. He fought him for about 3 rounds and he got knocked out. And then the next time he fought him, he was talking shit to him the whole time.
Spoiler alerts for Rocky, whatever
Rocky
the
5,
fuck.
which came out in like 1986.
Jesus.
That one stuck out. So wait, no. Now I'm all over the place, dude. Rocky 3 was the one where he fought Mr. T. Rocky 5, he decides to be a trainer because he can't fight anymore.
Oh, they wait, isn't that just Rocky Balboa? No, that's
Rocky 5 was some kid.
Rocky Creed is when he decides to be a trainer.
Well, he trains the guy in Rocky 5. He's his coach.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because the weird thing about it, I was talking about this with someone at work, is like he was pointing out, he goes, look, not with the finishing of every Rocky movie, they weren't certain they were going to make another Rocky movie. So in every one, he was always quitting boxing. Since the first movie, he was like, I can't do this anymore. And then when I found out there's
Brett
7...
Favre of him. That's fair enough. Brett Favre came out of retirement a bunch of times.
Well, Mayweather did as well, right?
Brett Favre made it really, really funny to come out of retirement a bunch of times, whereas Mayweather's just like, I need $1 million today, so please book me a fight. But like Brett Favre, didn't want to go to training camp and all that. Like, is that what you get? Like, do every movie? Do they have to coax Rocky back into the gym? Like, come on, one more season. Some of them have
the worst. Literally, the 3rd movie was his brother-in-law, who's been jealous of him from the start. He would sign paperwork for Rocky, like sign contracts and shit, and somehow he signed the rights away to everything. Like, Rocky had no more money in the bank as of like minute 2 of the movie. And he was all mad about it, and they didn't go over it very much. He goes, look, I didn't know what I was signing, okay? Like, that was his excuse.
Oh,
and then just go, we don't have any money? And then he leaves his son at home, and then he goes and flies to, like, LA, like a few months, and he trains. Love it. He leaves his son, he just, all right, gives him a knuckle sandwich. He doesn't say his name once throughout the movie. His kid is like a nobody at this point. I don't even know why they had a kid.
Yeah, it's almost as if they're making Rocky 5 and they ran out of ideas.
I was talking about 3 in that statement.
The point
is, This guy is unbelievable with the amount of damage that he can take. It's hilarious to watch it, and they make it just comical, like all the time, how he's beating up these people way bigger than him. I want to see this guy drag ass as the weak link on the Avengers.
I mean, all right, you win. Let's give him Hawkeye's spot. From now on, every time we make
Barton. I've never said no, because we need Barton.
Call him Hawkeye. Is that fair? Sylvester Stallone, Rocky Balboa.
How come I just can't have a good time watching this movie? that I've more and more this movie is dressing up like where the idea from Mike Tyson's Punch-Out came from, because he's essentially Little Mac, who's this half a character that fights all these people that are 2-3 times larger than him. He's never expected to win, but if the player's good enough, he's gonna beat everybody and shock the world.
I'm glad you were able to draw inspiration from a 20-year-old Rocky Balboa film.
Some of them are older than that, dude. I think the third or fourth one was the first one that came out in the 80s. It's 2018. We're talking like 30, 40. I don't even know how he's still standing. Also, fuck it, dude. That's just what I've been watching, man. What else do you want from me?
I mean, I did ask you. You know, that's not even your fault. Jabril, let's take a break.
All right, seems like we're back from the old break.
Oh man, it's like we never left.
It's almost like someone edited this, so I'm gonna run through the summary real quick so you guys know
what is this movie about?
All right, so thousands of years ago, a race of beings known as the Dark Elves tried to send the universe into darkness by using a weapon known as the Ether, spelled with an
Infinity Stone?
Infinity Stone, gem, whatever you want to call it. Spelled with an A, just so everyone can see that. It's not just ether, as in the gas.
Is ether spelled with an E? Okay, that changes things.
You know, when you play video games like Final Fantasy, it's pretty sure it's just E-T-H-E-R.
Those bastards. This is A, so you know it controls reality.
That's how you know. So warriors from Asgard stopped them, these elves, but their leader Malekith escapes to wait for another opportunity. Bor, the father of Odin, grandfather to Thor. He finds the ether, and since it cannot be destroyed, somehow they found out, they tried to hide it. And every 5,000 years, the realms align, creating bridges in reality called the Convergence. On Earth,
that will be important.
Yeah, because everything is related to Earth. At least that's how Marvel looks at it. On Earth, London,
other names realms were in peril.
We don't even know the names of most of them. On Earth, especially London, that part of Earth, Jane Foster believes she and her crew have discovered one such portal. And when she comes into contact with the ether, Malekith awakens.
Dun, dun, dun! And that is the bones of our movie. Jabril, where do you want to begin with? And you know what? Let's start with your overall opinion of this film. I'm curious to know, after our sort of... You had a more of a positive opinion on Iron Man 3 than I did. But where do you stand on Thor The Dark World?
I would say I liked this. Let's start by saying this. As far as Phase 2 goes, episode number 1, I like this movie more than Iron Man 3. There's a lot of letdowns in Iron Man 3, even though when I last rated it, I said it was better than Part 2. Either way, Thor 2. Here's what I'm liking about these Thor movies, man. This one more than the first one. Clearly, a lot more Thor. But here's one thing I feel like not a lot of people get, or maybe I didn't get my first time through this movie, because this movie I thought it was going to be boring going through, and there's boring moments, and you can lose interest, but that's if you're really not engrossed in the story. So I like this movie more than Thor 1. I just said that because there's more Thor stuff like that. What was the question?
Specifically, that was the question, and yeah, I'm inclined to agree with you on this one.
Hold on. I'm sorry. I stepped on my own foot. One of the things I think I like about the Thor movies that's different from other movies is this movie takes place somewhere else than planet Earth. I like that so much because this is what I like the Marvel Universe for. As much as I like humans being the superheroes, I like their villains to be bad guys from other dimensions, or they're there to be something else going on other than they're just a smart guy or something like that, or a smart guy who's
cosmic Marvel. Okay.
Yeah, and like this movie shows everyone here, as far as I'm concerned, versus an Earthling. Every Asgardian, every Dark Elf, put him in a one-on-one. It's just like could like put Tony Stark where Thor was at any moment in this movie, and what is he going to do? He's going to come up with some clever shit, but he's going to get fucked over. And it's because in most cases. It's one of those things where even though Thor is super duper strong, like we've gone over before, he's not the strongest. And even Hulk's not, I'm assuming. Did you see the way Thor got thrown around this movie?
By who specifically?
Algrim?
He was on the juice though. He was not an Asgardian.
Oh my god!
But yeah. Dark elves are
not my
especially
point.
When he had that chunk of crystal in his gut.
Disregarding this because he took some pill. What I'm saying is, did you see the way Thor got his ass beat this movie? How strong is Algrim in this form?
Yeah.
He okay, 2 scenes happened, like I think they just used the same footage. When he does like a spinning right elbow, there's like the first scene where like Thor, like they're like leaving Thor, like after they got the ether back, and they're on the Dark Elves planet, and Thor just throws his hammer, and then Homeboy turns around, does a spinning right.
And backhands it, yeah.
Not backhands, it's an elbow. But yeah,
something. Now I know that nobody can pick up his hammer, but I didn't know that you could just beat its trajectory off. Of course,
or can most people is the question. I mean, and can Hulk?
I'm struggling to remember a point in the movies where this was done. Hell, even in the comics, most people just take the hammer to the chest.
That's a big thing. Yeah, I mean, he just puts it on you, and it's like you saw Loki couldn't move, even though he's not really that strong. But it's also not just about strength. In this factor, yeah, it has to. It's not like he can pick up the hammer, but that thing was coming at him, and not only did he know it was there, not like when Loki saw the arrow coming in the Avengers movie and he grabbed it. He just didn't know it was a trap. He didn't know he shouldn't have done that. He was trying to prove that he could do that. This guy was like, fuck this magic hammer. Fucking Thor. Fuck you. Strongest Avenger.
It was, do you want to, if you scroll to the bottom of the notes here, do you want to give a shot at the actor's name who plays Algrim the Accursed? He's the guy from Lost. And a few other movies.
Where is it at?
It's Adewale all the way at the end. And give a shot at the hyphenated last name there.
Okay, so Adewale, thank you for that. Akinoi Agbahe.
Okay, now anybody who wants to call Jabriel a racist on Twitter now has our handle because that shit is impossible to say. So the dude from Lost is pretty good in this movie, buried under all kinds of makeup, but apparently he shot a good 20 to 30% of those scenes under heavy garb because they just like the way he moved around so much.
Really, you know what? Especially Malekith, he to me looked a lot like. Have you seen Prometheus?
Yes. Oh yeah, he did resemble the whatever those things are called.
Before, the creatures before us, whatever.
Yeah, that's another good actor that they buried under a pound of makeup. Christopher Eccleston of Doctor Who fame, but I know him from Gone in 60 Seconds. That was my favorite role that he played as Raymond Calitri. Yeah, it's Malekith.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know these characters all that much. Like, the actors in other movies, but when I saw them, for sure, I had no idea who it was. They could have been Willem Dafoe under either one of those garbs. That have been like,
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the point, really, though. It doesn't matter who the guy is playing him. You just want him to have a good screen presence. And I think that is largely what the knock on this movie was, is that Malekith is a very one-dimensional villain who only wants to destroy the world. In fact, I initially watched, in 1,000 pardons, everyone in Internet Land, I pirated the first version. And the subtitles weren't on, so whenever he starts speaking in Dothraki, I don't know what he's saying, you know. So I had to go back and buy a legitimate copy of it just to figure out what it was. And even when he is talking, like, you can kind of get the gist of what he's saying just by how he's standing and where they are, you know. Like, it's very like.
Can you answer one question for me? I'm positive that when I saw that movie in theaters, as I did at one time, they did the subtitles for me, right?
Yeah.
So answer me this. I have a downloaded copy too. I'm sorry.
Jesus, pay for your stuff, people. What is wrong with you? This is how the art industry dies.
This movie made me want to.
You want music to suffer, huh? You want
this
garage bands to go out of existence? Pay for your shit. Jabril.
I want a digital copy of everything. That's it. I don't even want the Blu-ray. I want it to be Blu-ray quality if possible, but I want the digital copy. So if I can find that for a decent amount of money, I think Logan, which is awesome, was on sale for like $10. Blu-ray digital copy over Christmas. I didn't buy me one. I don't know why. I don't have it downloaded anyway. But the point is, so in theaters they showed it with the dialogue on, and I have a copy with it off. So that means someone removed it.
Yeah.
If it was, I'm not even talking about subtitles throughout the whole movie. Like, how about this spot? What theater did this guy go to record this?
I turned on my subtitles just to see. I'm like, I wonder if they can translate this made-up language into something interpretable. But no, I had to buy it.
Yeah, and well, so what I ended up doing was going to, I don't know, I went to some website. I mentioned it earlier. It was. They have the whole like dialogue, whatever it's called, the script. So I just threw character through character. Anytime it said Malekith or Algrim, I was like, all right, is this the scene that I'm at? But you're right. I watched it through, and every time the part came, I stared at it, and he was just like, the death of them will be the sacrifice of our legacy.
I'll read verbatim what he said. This is when he's like sadly looking over the ruins of Anaheim. He's like, look upon my legacy, Algrim. I can barely remember a time before the light. And that's a dope ass line, even though it's like incredibly just cliche and generic. Like, this guy just longs for the darkness. You know, it gives you a good sense of the character. This is the only character moments that you really get with him. He's like, the Asgardians will suffer as we have suffered. I will reclaim the Aether. I will restore, just a bunch of declarative statements. You know, I will restore our world. I will put an end to this poisoned universe. That is essentially all Malekith gets to say when he's not talking to our heroes. And
yeah, you're right.
Do not necessarily think that makes him a bad villain. One note, definitely, but he's, sincere about that one note that he wants to play. He's practiced it all 5,000 years of his life, and he can't wait to get up there in Carnegie Hall and fucking play that note like a goddamn G. So I'm not mad at him. Oh.
Can we talk about something really fast? It's very important. Mm-hmm. All 5,000 years of his life. Can we? I mean, I know I end up, apparently I'm overanalyzing the time frames of these movies, but you have any idea how old he is?
Yeah, he's older than 5,000 years. 5,000 years is when the realms align.
Yeah.
But apparently he was there around the time of Thor's or Odin's father, so Bor, and alive longer than that. So yeah, like he's just a really old dude.
So the battle that they're telling you about in the movie where Bor won, that was the end of the battle.
Yeah, they showed the end sequence.
So no one knows how long it was going on before that. And
no.
Okay, so and then so after that, has it been one convergence or two convergence since this happened?
It's just one. We're made to believe.
Yeah, see, so there's something I read online that made me think that there have been two, which I thought, oh, he woke up because of the convergence, but no, he woke up because the relic was being used. The ether, he can, so he feels it when, so I'm thinking it's one, and it kind of makes sense. I guess they're saying that these gods last a couple thousand years.
Give and take 5,000 years, yeah.
Odin is around that age, and it seems like he's dying, right?
Yeah, I mean, don't stop it with the math, man.
It's part of the fucking story, dude. What am I supposed to think otherwise? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
it doesn't make any sense. There's something else. Go over what is Malekith trying to do? What does the darkness mean exactly? Does it literally mean just absence of light?
Yeah, he's trying to restore the world to a quieter time. He's essentially trying to buy some blackout curtains from Bed Bath & Beyond, but for the entire universe. He just wants all that noise to stop.
Does that mean, okay, here goes the light, and whatever can live without light is alive, like us and probably frost giants? Or
yeah, he's a being of the darkness, and I think Jotunheim is on his shit list too. He wants to send all the 9 realms into darkness.
Yeah, why is Jotunheim on there? What'd they do?
They're just in his way. He's one note in his battiness.
Here's where shit gets complicated for me, dude. Is because so the 9 realms. Now these are just planets, right? 9 planets are as a 9
realms of existence.
A galaxy.
Yeah, so like Midgard is said to be Earth, but it's the entirety of the solar system, I guess. So Saturn's all up in Midgard as well.
Okay, so that's our universe in Midgard, and theirs isn't. So there's a lot going on there. All right, so that kind of makes sense. But it makes it seem like these 9 aren't everything. That's just the realm that Odin's in charge of.
Asgard is, yeah.
But Odin.
And well, actually, honestly, yeah, he when we finally do meet up with Thor, he's restoring chaos to the 9 realms, and and we get to him on the point of got them all. That's the end of the rebellion. Essentially, like Thor's the Empire, and he just killed like Leia, Luke. He's got Han. He took out Rey. Woo! Smashed that rebellion. All right.
There's another time. Well, I guess not time issue. Are we bouncing around on scenes here and just talking about what I think doesn't make sense? Or I like that. I like that,
lead, man. Yeah, we're going where you take us.
So I was looking around online, and I guess this is so in this movie, on the planet that they land on, where Thor comes in and he destroys that rock creature. Here's another part that I want to talk shit about Marvel for. I was mentioning it earlier.
Okay.
They need to put labels on things. When a character that has a name shows up, not just like this is part of the background. These people are just here because people live, they exist. This is a character, and he is on screen. Should label him at least one time. Maybe not once per movie. Maybe just once, and then be like, oh well, they pointed him out.
Are you specifically talking about Korg the Rockman, or the Cronin? That's
not Korg. Stop saying that. Why do you think that's Korg? He's a Cronin.
A Cronin, yes.
Okay, it's an alien race, right? They're alien to us. They're a race. They live on some planet. Okay, I think the planet's called Rhea. That's why I probably mentioned that earlier. But since you saw a Cronin, maybe I thought they were on that planet. So, do you remember? Did you hear what they were chanting when the rock creature was approaching Thor?
Ooh, no.
It sounded like Cronin, but that's because I had that word in my head. And if you know what I mean? It's one of those things where it says Cronin. Yeah. Can you guys hear that? And you give them that. That's what they think too.
Yeah, no, that was a small nod to the fan. I think, I mean, do you think that is the same race of rock creatures that show up in Thor 3? Yes. Okay, then then that's just a nod to the fans. Yeah.
So, I mean, I thought it was cool, but when I was reading online, people kept calling it like, oh, that's Korg, that's Korg, you see him again. There's also, apparently there's one in Guardians of the Galaxy, maybe in the giant prison.
Really?
You probably missed it because there's a shit ton of aliens in the prison. Remember that?
Okay.
It's probably just somewhere.
I don't doubt it. Yeah.
But this one showed up. And it's just like, it was like, oh, well, if Thor wasn't here, I would take over, right? Was Sif going to take out the rock creature, you think?
I mean, he sort of appeared out of the mist.
They should have given him a name.
Dumb warrior type.
Yeah. And here's another thing: is they did. I think what it is he's a part of a squad or whatever called the Marauders, right?
No, the Marauders is something entirely different and X-Men based.
They used that reference a few times, and this also correlates with something I thought I saw this earlier, that Korg or a Cronin member is a member of the Marauders, who are a team of bad guys or whatever. That it was like when Thor said, "Oh, we fought some Marauders over here," it was the Marauders. You know what I mean? He fought the gang.
No, definitely not. Okay.
It's like they throw shit in these movies and they'd let people like me just read and fucking freak themselves out, and they were just, is this what's happening? And when you find out you're wrong, you're mad, and you're just like, I'm just gonna let you guys show me what you want to show me from now on.
You can pull your hair out parsing over the details, especially if you're trying to fucking chart a 5,000-year-old timeline. When was the last convergence? You're as crazy as Eric Selvig wandering around Stonehenge without pants, trying to figure out timelines.
Here's the thing. This is why I like the movie so much, is because we kind of talked about this earlier. Like, I liked the fact that, what's his name? Heimdall couldn't see those creatures, even though they were invisible. I think he heard one fly by at 30 miles an hour, and he was like, what? And he just turned and hightailed it and ran. Yeah, it was like, I mean, you can see it, but what they mean is he couldn't see it like he saw Jane Foster until she went to another realm, right?
Mm-hmm.
He was like, she's over there, she's on. He couldn't see them, and that makes good sense. They predate him.
Well, no, I mean, I think you're just led to believe they have better cloaking technology, or the Aether allows them to hide their presence.
Because these characters are 5,000 plus years old, and you can't see them, Heimdall. Okay? Yeah, and Tony Stark probably couldn't see him either.
But I hate how the crux of invading Asgard relies on having to trick Heimdall to do literally anything, A, you have to know of his existence, and B, a way to trick him and get around him. So yeah, he needed the redeeming moment of flying onto a ship and stabbing it. But that was the only cloaked ship. If you notice that directly afterward, everybody else came through
they just showed up. Yeah.
On with the invasion. Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. I'm now mad because you're talking shit about one of my favorite moments. I thought it was cool. I thought it was cool that he couldn't see him.
I'm all on board with it being badass, but I'm just sad that Idris Elba's Heimdall is the ass end of it. He has to commit treason every episode in order to be useful.
You know what this is, Trey? I can't believe we're having this conversation. This is you defending him as a black actor, not having a good enough role. Because he commits treason. Look, that's just... What else do you have this character do? And they gave him a fucking amazing actor, so they have to have him. I don't know what he does in the comics, but they have to give him some screen time. And I don't. He's not Thor. He's not going to be that important of a character. But
I think what he does. No, I think I'm just upset at that because it regurgitates the main driving plot point from the first movie. We have to go to whatever planet. Svarfensnall Anaheim instead of Midgard, and even though Odin won't let us, they're regurgitating the Odin said stay put, but we need to use the Bifrost, or in this case, a hole in the wall, to get to a new place.
Yeah.
So
was that weird?
Get around Odin's wishes.
So that spot that Loki knew to go to, was that spot only active during the convergence?
Okay. Yeah, there's a few things wrong.
I swear.
But does it only lead there? Because in which case, that's not helpful to Loki at all. Spartans fall. Anaheim sucks. I mean, why would you want to go there?
He probably knows a way, somewhere else to go. But yeah, I suppose. Look, if that's your only way to dig out of Asgard, is a prison to Loki, and it always has been, right?
No, he loves his mommy.
They kidnapped him, and he's in prison.
Right? Was to die.
I feel so bad for him as a character now. I feel so bad because they didn't kill his father. His father is clearly alive. So said Thor episode 1. His father's right there, and it's and now they have him kidnapped, and they got him thinking for the first. First of all, how old is Loki?
We'll ballpark him at 1,000.
When did he find out that in the first movie Odin isn't his dad? So for 1,000 years he was misled. It's gonna be you one day, if not him, the guy with all the special powers and shit. You have special powers that we just can't stand constantly.
One king who wants the throne too much, another that doesn't want it at all. Yeah.
I wonder he's always like he underplays everything that they like every sentence they try to give him. Like, do you not understand what you did? You fucking brought all these creatures in to take over planet Earth. Didn't you know that was Thor's plan? He was gonna beat your ass.
He's a more calculated
me to believe
PR
that. Well, first of all, you raised me to believe that I am of what's it called when you're royalty, and even if that's false, I am royalty, bitch. My dad is the king of Jotunheim. I am the prince, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but still, it's of course this dude's gonna fight to power. It's just you just don't like his methods of getting there, which is killing everybody to get there. But
he's pretty salty. How'd you feel about his justifications for invading Earth? I went down there as a benevolent ruler. You did the same thing.
He's just
Anthony
joking.
Hopkins. why
he's
why
joking,
why
but
he's hating on my plan?
He's pointing out the truth, and you saw Odin give that straight face to Natalie Portman when he's like, and then my father went over there, and then they just brought peace to everybody. And it's like, well, how do you bring peace? And they killed everybody. What do you think happened? Everybody who didn't want to die agreed to peace.
Yeah.
I feel like there was this weird scene with Thor shirtless, and I don't want to complain, but
you do every shirtless scene.
I just want some equality here. Equality, okay? When they do the Marvel Girl movie, I want there to be a scene of her shirtless just as well. Maybe on a different planet, maybe with less gravity. Who knows? That's all I want.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, I like how he just only watched the top half. I'm like, you just got done like sedating the 9 realms. Like, immerse yourself in some water. That's not just like get the armpits, All right.
They did a really, really good job on making space look dope. Did they not? Does it look beautiful?
I was trying to decide if I liked Asgard more in this one or the previous Thor movie.
Well, I mean space. Hold on.
It was definitely a lot
space.
brighter and more colorful in Kenneth Branagh's version, but I feel like what's this guy's name? Alan Taylor. He makes it look more lived in, and I think that's from his multiple Game of Thrones credits for really decking out like this medieval but yet medieval times in space kind of world. So the costume design has really always been on point for this, but yeah, and like now you get a sense that they're actually citizens on Asgard. This time there are people going about their daily chores and I guess milking Asgardian goats.
Not just citizens though, but I don't know, what would you call their army? Like the warriors,
yeah, right. They had that like sort of samurai-esque thing going on.
Dude, they were that's another thing I like about these Thor movies is how separate they are from all the other movies because everyone's kind of super compared to a human. Like, I don't know Asgardian from Thor exactly what the big difference is. I know one of them's the leader and he's going to keep that family lineage is going to keep being awesome no matter how many babies, but how the citizens of Asgard are doing.
Well, I mean, you can kind of approach it like the Grecian gods and all that, where they're all powerful in their own right, but just some more so than others. Yeah. They all live up on Mount Olympus and just
they made him look like
make power plays.
They made him look like Captain America, I would say, when they fought like these weird creatures in the Dark World, whatever the fuck world that was called. There's I think one of them turns into the cursed whatever when he turns all small or giant and shit like that, and they were fucking him up and he was way tall. One of them jumped up like 8 feet, grabbed him and did a DDT. I was just like amazing. I was like, this is a cartoon basically. It's literally what I'm watching is I love it. This is exactly not what I live for, but this is why I like to see my favorite cartoon comic book come to life.
Well, before it gets to that, we do have to visit Earth and Natalie Portman and Natalie Portman's poor Thor boyfriend as they try to order dinner, breakfast, lunch, whatever. and Natalie Portman wants none of it. She's just, you know, you're a rebound guy.
I can't stand this scene. Oh man,
I thought they did a nice job of not making him a dick character. Like, he's a good guy. He's just not Thor.
Well, it's to me, like, the only thing I saw that was good from it was they used him again to, you know, to help Natalie Portman find out that, you know, she could make phone calls.
Yes, cell phone.
Otherwise, it's like
Space Cape on a different universe.
His only redeeming quality, because I don't give a fuck about her trying to go out on dates and shit while she's over in Berlin or wherever the fuck she's at.
Well, you know,
that's not relevant to the movie at all. No,
honestly, it was a vehicle to introduce Kat Dennings, who is fastly becoming my favorite character of the Thor franchise. I'm sad that she's not funny. Thor 3.
She's pretty funny. I like her. That one, her fucking intern though, the dude when he threw the keys in, like, I was trying to. Yeah, he throws the keys in the portal and then it doesn't come back. Yeah. I was starting to just look for patterns. I'm so into these movies now. I'm just like, okay. When you throw metal in, it doesn't come back. What are they saying? Like, one of these worlds is collecting, and they're just like, nah, sometimes it just doesn't come back. I'm like, that's what you think, kid. That's what you think, all right? They're going to prove this shit later. That's what I thought, too, when I was your age. But 20 years later, I'm making a podcast doing what I think I know about.
20? Yeah, no, that hadn't been 20. But, I mean, I guess to your point, you're kind of correct. Because if you look at where Natalie Portman and Thor come back through, like, none of those portals line up to create that effect that the kids were doing in the warehouse, where the cans were dropping down and then reappearing back up, where it's like, no, you just kind of walk sideways and get to go through a portal. It wasn't on the ceiling, it wasn't on the ground.
They're all super weird. Like, when that guy finds out the truck is floating and he just picks it up and smashes like all those elves.
That one. Yeah.
It's like, I mean, did you know the extent of where this portal was open, dude? Like, what if you grabbed it, you had it up here, and then gravity kicked back in, and your spine would realize that, oh shit, I'm not underwater nor in another dimension. Oh my god.
Yeah, that end fight scene was a cool sequence, but incredibly arbitrary as to where the portals showed up and didn't show up. Will there be cake? I don't know.
That's what made it seem really tough to follow. Because I remember my first time around the movie thinking that it was kind of silly, but as I'm watching the movies, I'm just like, Malekith doesn't seem like a good fighter at all. So how is he going to win this? And I guess at the end he did kind of absorb the ether and grow 50 feet, but
yeah, he kind of Super Saiyaned himself out there. Yeah.
Well, he did. Are we skipping to that right there? Where are we at?
We can go wherever you want, man.
Let's see. We talked about the convergence and what it is. Okay, you know who I really like? Almost all the characters, but Eric Selvig. This dude's playing he's playing the doctor. Like, he's nuts just because he's finding out shit that's proven everybody wrong. But also, there's no time to prove what he's trying to prove. There's almost no reality to believe it, even though the people at this point have seen the Avengers. And they saw, anybody in New York or who watched TV saw portals just open from another dimension.
You're saying that everybody's seen that? Yeah.
Everybody should have by now, at least in America.
Thor, he's out there waving his hammer around and everything.
I live nowhere near New York, but I've seen footage of the two towers falling, okay? I'm just saying, if there was an invasion from another planet, maybe I would have seen it.
Yeah, and also the Doctor, you can this is what makes it more of a sequel to Avengers, is that he's still suffering heavily from having his mind taken over by Loki, you know? I love how they kept
he suffering, or is it like okay, I thought his mind is just open. He
makes several references to it throughout the movie.
He does,
like, I've had a god in my brain, highly don't recommend it. Yeah. It stays with him for quite some time.
I guess that would explain it. I guess he's just smart outside of that, and that helps him. He just has these wacky ideas and he proves shit. Okay, so I'm looking at my notes here. Let's see, what do we have?
And you could definitely hate on the scientific equipment that he's using to do it. Like, at one point towards the end, when it's getting all all reeled up in Greenwich, London. He says to Jane Foster's character, like, yeah, these instruments were meant to
Jane
detect
Foster's
anomalies.
character. Dude, her name is Jane Foster.
Yeah, these instruments were meant to detect anomalies, not create them. So, like, that's not just like a quick, like, oh, let's just redo the calibrations a little, and we'll create an anomaly. You know?
Yeah, that's true.
That's
they really just
how science works,
and that's how they kind of beat him too. If that didn't work, because
yeah,
at that level he was kind of messing up Thor. But okay, so Thor. Speaking of Thor, who brought Thor up? That was me. That scene where he just comes back, where he just goes, Heimdall, send me to Earth so I can go find Jane, right?
Yeah.
Does he cause the rain?
Yeah, that part was a little weird. I couldn't tell if it was because the Aether. Okay, so the reason why Thor is sent down to Asgard is because he's at a dinner party. He's super sad and just not. He used to drink for 3 weeks after a battle, and now he's not. All he can do is think about fucking Miss Foster face. So he goes and sees Heimdall, and Heimdall cannot see her because Natalie Portman is playing around in that oddly abandoned factory next to a bunch of anomalies and upside down cars and whatnot.
Right
and
before that, like, he just got done telling him about how much he knows about his girlfriend and how much he can see.
Yeah, pretty creepy. And apparently, like, he's been doing this every day. So, like, just hope
he's
that
just beating it
in the bathroom.
Maybe that is not the beauty you seek.
Up on you. But either way, Jane disappears into so the Aether was not being stored underground in that warehouse. It was just in like an offshoot of reality somewhere around Midgard, I'm guessing.
The portal took her there, right?
Yeah,
it wasn't.
Yeah, but
so
I don't
if
think
the
meant to believe that
was,
place is on Earth.
If the convergence was happening, she would not have found it right there. Or if it wasn't happening, she would not have found it right there. I don't think that's. I thought it was. To me, it seemed like so the whole portals and thing were open. It was kind of hard to tell where it was and wasn't, and somehow it pulled her in. That's another thing I wanted to mention. She seems like a super character.
They were looking for the whatever her machines were, were showing that the readings were similar to the ones that happened when Thor showed up the first time around. So she went to go investigate it. I don't know if the Aether specifically was calling her, or if the convergence was creating these portals that gave off the same signature as like the Bifrost. That was a little weird.
But what, if not, but in that scenario, what pulled her?
What pulled her in?
If it wasn't the ether.
Luck. Literally, she's the only one that got to get to the ether for no reason other than she's Jane Foster, I guess.
But but there was a pulling force. So was it just pulled the closest person to it?
Yeah, it was really weird. Yeah, I guess it could have been anybody, which makes me wonder why the kids didn't find it any earlier. You know.
They were probably just way too busy fucking with that one portal, that one thing that doesn't make it go up and down.
But they figured out so many other things to do there, you know? Oh, well. But it calls Thor down, and then there's the rain. Wait a second,
hold on.
I couldn't...
They made a lot of reference to the Peter Quill in the Guardians of the Galaxy movie about how there's like... I don't know how the comics work, never read those comics, but there was like something special about Peter. They kept saying that. And in the second movie, they told you, oh, this dude's basically half a god. This ether, I'm thinking, pulled Jane Foster in. That's definitely what it looked like. And it's just really weird how it pulled her like 50 feet, was like, hey, check it out. And I know it was her who went up to it and tried to touch it for whatever reason.
And touch it. Got it all up in her. Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, that force right there just seems kind of weird. So I'm wondering, do you know anything about her future in the comics? Does she, anything special about her?
I mean, she's always just the side character to Donald Blake's Thor while he's on Earth.
Not just the pulling force. Sorry to cut you off, but I had this thought. Not just the pulling force, but the fact that she held it in her body, man. The Peter Quill held that one Infinity Stone in his body, and his body almost fucking exploded. Anybody else would have died.
That was the Power Stone. I don't think the ether. I mean, but, we saw the Tesseract just send the Red Skull directly into space. So, yeah, I don't know what makes Miss Foster so important that she can carry it without imploding. So yeah, that's a good point.
It is. Yeah, it is super weird. And there's this one point where Loki mentions, he said the power that's flowing through those veins, and it's like, it's not in her veins, bro. It's right here. I'm pretty sure it's in the wrists. Something about that area lights, right?
Oh, I mean, yeah, sure.
No, it was. And when Odin looked at it, it was right there. Every time someone grabbed her wrist, it was like...
Well, I mean, but whenever she went into those like force visions, like in The Force Awakens or The Last Jedi, where she could see across the dimensions of reality, then her eyes would go black, or whenever like the police tried to grab her, one of the Asgardians guards tried to grab her and move her, it would propel them away from her and then knock her unconscious for a few minutes. And at the end, or not at the end, but Loki, Odin says that, yeah, this is gonna kill her like soon. We have to find a way to get this out of her. So yeah, like I think that's in continuity with how the Infinity Stones interact with humans. So I take that back. I am not mad at all.
Take back everything.
That makes sense. But yeah, I do not know where the rain came from. If it was Thor, even Kat Dennings was like, "Is that you doing this?" I'm like, yeah.
And well, because he stopped it immediately. It wasn't flying over her or him, and it looked like he got there at the perfect time. It started raining. I thought he did that to make the cops go away, but they didn't leave. So they all ran back to their car to go get their waterproof stuff. And then, he put this,
to, I guess, take notes and arrest people. It was a very lax, we need all of you to come to jail right now sequence. Do they not? I don't think they have guns over there. But yeah, and you can't really billy club Thor. so yeah.
She's dangerous.
Wander around. But they were letting the intern wander around, Jane Foster, Kat Dennings. None of them were assume the position.
It's very telling, I guess, of at least that director's choice of how the cops work in, where were they again? London?
Yeah, they were in England. And even then, they didn't even impound her car. When they come back through the portal, it's just all tagged up. Nobody took the tires off. So yeah, apparently Mexicans have not made their way to that portion of London to steal the tires off of abandoned vehicles. I don't know how that happens.
I'm very much in favor of the humor in this movie. I guess it sounds kind of silly, but there's this scene, I guess it's right around then when she's mad at Thor for leaving.
Yeah,
I giggled. Even
I didn't have my subtitles on for that one. What did he like? It was clearly it was supposed to be "I love you," right? But then he just trailed off into something.
It was something like there's one thing I always know, and she's like, "What is it?" And he's just like, "I know," and she's like, "You do?" And he's like, "What?" And she's like, "What?" But it doesn't matter. They're just locked out. Yeah, it was an adorable moment.
Oh, yeah, I thought it was supposed to catch something important there, but they glossed over that. But yeah, right after that, the cops try to grab her. She pushes them all away and passes out. And then Thor right away just takes her space. Screw this noise.
And right after that...
She's coming to Asgard.
Yeah, right after that, they allow Kat Dennings, that's her name, to just use the word, holy shit. So how much cussing are they? They're really trying to attract their adult audience.
You get 3 of those.
3 holy shits.
Yeah, and her name is Darcy Lewis for the film.
Darcy, yeah.
You can only do it so much, so you gotta relegate it to comic relief characters. So she's on Asgard. We get to see Frigga, Thor's mother. She gets to meet did you appreciate the whole Natalie Portman on Asgard sequence? I thought that was good, mainly because you didn't really get to see Asgard fleshed out as a place that has been lived on with stuff happening.
It seemed like over time they were putting more into it, even in this movie alone.
Yeah, and to flash forward to Thor Ragnarok, it really makes me sad what happened to the Warriors 3, they're a prevalent part, even though Fandal has been recast in this one. They're very
is that why he looks weird?
Yeah, he's not like the same person.
I don't like this guy. I mean, the 2 funny moments he gets, I'm just like, I'm over it. And then there's that last scene where, I think it's the last one, where he hops from the ship that they're on to the one behind them and kicks everyone's ass. I'm like, all right, okay, you've justified yourself as a character, proving your point. I'm glad you're in this now because everyone needs to do their part.
Yeah.
Otherwise, next time we should start with the big one. Ha ha ha. Such a knee slapper.
Man, but I wanted more of them. And Lady Sif, she appeared in an episode of Agents of Shield. I went and watched that episode 1 or episode 15 of season 1. Like, she gets a pretty cool part in that. And there's more Asgardians. Do you want me to spoil what happens to you in episode 15
for the viewers, Trey?
Season 1 of Agents of Shield? Basically, an Asgardian lady is on Earth, and she so she has Loki's sort of sorcery powers, where she just bends the will of men to whatever she wants to have them do. Like, if she's saying something to you, then she can control your mind, and if she touches you, then it's a done deal. You'll do whatever she says.
This is
You'll just murder your whole family. No, this is it's a random Asgardian lady that has shown up on Earth, and Shield is tracking her, and Sif comes down to put a stop to this crazy bitch.
Is this the Enchantress, by the way?
It could be the Enchantress, but I don't think it is. Her name is Laureline. The Asgardian that comes down, her name is Laureline, and she's like recruiting like Hell's Angels bikers and stuff to like have an army to rule Earth. Yeah, she's on some like rule Earth shit, and Sif is on a mission from Odin to bring this bitch back to prison. In fact, because of the prison break that occurred in the Dark World is why Lorelei makes it to Earth in the first place. So I think we should watch some Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. or some supplementary viewing, because I was just looking for more info on Sif, only to find that she is in an episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And in that, she does get a little bit more to do, but you can tell that the importance of the character from the comics does not translate to the on-screen version. I'm not sure if it's Jamie Alexander's fault, the actress who plays Sif, or if it's just the way this particular character is written. But she's very much a soldier who's content with her lot in life, and I guess while doesn't necessarily accept that Thor doesn't want her, she's willing to give Jane Foster the stink eye whenever she walks across the hallway or something. Yeah, a poor thing.
Maybe you can find the episodes we should watch. I could tell you Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. season 1, episode 8 or 9. I think it's worth watching. That's the one where they have an Asgardian weapon they have to build like 4 different parts out of. Once they have it, it actually transforms the show into something supernatural, which is something they fucked up with since episode 1. When we all thought it was
space now. I think it's gone
4 seasons later, Trey.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you really got to.
Isn't Agent Coulson dead in like
Again?
the Avengers? So this show predates anything the Avengers did, right?
No. This is after the Avenger. Yeah, Coulson is he's the front runner. He's the leader of this Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. cast.
He died.
Well, he went to Tahiti, Jay. He went on vacation.
I remember that now. It's weird. Let's back to the show. There's something I wanted to. Let's see. Did Loki help that dude kill his mom? Is that what happened?
Yeah. Okay. So there's a comment. A lot of time is spent with Loki in jail, and he's given good performances while he's there. Like you can see where his head's at. He's very upset about being banished for all of eternity. Has a moving moment with his mother and all that. But yeah, when he tells the accursed old Algrim, the accursed, to take the stairs on the left, I don't know what room he was trying to get him to. It was just a reason to have Loki say a snarky line, but
it got a lot of screen time for something that I thought made no sense. Was he going, hey, I'll help you, let me go? This is some free advice?
No, it wasn't that. I think he acknowledged that guy was not going to let him out of a prison. But where the Ulgrim ends up is the force field generator room, and he smashes it.
That's right. That is the next scene.
Yeah. Do you want to catch the audience up on what's going down at this?
Oh, this is when the Dark Elves have already started attacking, and the what's his name, Heimdall just runs, I guess, all the way over to that main,
climbing the Golden Gate Bridge and just
to basically the Stark Tower of Asgard where Odin lives. And then that shield starts coming up, and it's a super duper powerful shield. Like one of their ships just crashed into it.
He actually lowered his trajectory to crash into it. He could have easily not crashed it. And given the way the ships were flying beforehand, it's obvious that they're not going to crash into anything unless they want to. Like, how badass are their ship designs, by the way? Well, the way they were knifing through the different archways and literally cutting down gun towers.
They are
like that's
dope.
A pretty neat design.
They're super dope. I just wish I could understand, how does it work when you're flying in it? Like, you are in a sphere that doesn't move and the ship moves around you?
You have to press the buttons gently.
No, I am pressing the buttons gently. This is how you press them. I'm turning into an Arnold impression.
Yeah, no, I'm not a pilot, and much less a pilot of spacecraft. So.
But I was noticing some shit. The amount of flips they were doing, and nobody was flying all over the shit.
Yeah.
Like,
the Asgardian
like,
ship.
I need to do a 270 to get on the other side of this bridge, and they just and Natalie Portman's just unconscious on the ground the whole time. Yeah. And it's not like she was flying like side to side. So I'm just like,
why did she pass out? Yeah, she was unconscious on that ship for some reason.
It might have been one of those visions she was getting from the ether, right?
The ether? Okay. I'm willing to accept that. But yeah, I don't know why she knocked out. But yeah, so the room that Algrim the Accursed ends up in is the one that takes out the shields that were going over the, I guess, Capitol building.
Which now, like, it looks like the same kind of force field they use for the prison cells, right?
Yeah, essentially. Yeah,
but it has to be more powerful, because there's that scene of Homeboy getting out just by smashing someone else's face into it. I feel like that just means it needed to release a more powerful
version. But do you think that is where Loki was trying to head the guy? Because essentially he gets his mother killed if that's the case, you know?
Yeah, and I feel like that's one of those things he has to take to the grave. He can't tell Thor that he gave that guy that piece of advice. I mean, it came to help him in the long run, because then he helped kill the guy, but after, it's like you're playing chess and you gave up your queen just to take out somebody's queen or their knight. Like, I don't think either way. Yeah, it helped me later. Like, yeah, but did it?
At what cost? Yeah,
all it did was even the playing field. And I mean, don't get me wrong, when Frigga died, it gave everybody something to fight for, except for Odin. He was the only guy who didn't do shit afterward. He shot that one guy, and then he went... He's in the Odin sleep, right? That's what's happening?
No. He was content to defend Asgard to the last man, and that's where
and then
Thor
you never
has to
see
develop
him again?
The movie turned into like a heist sequence midway through, where they're all at a round table and they're going over plans, but they're intercutting with like what's already taking place, you know?
Yes.
Yeah, that was... You don't know what I'm talking about. But yeah, I thought that was strange. Another side note while we're still on Asgard, I do like how they are still continuously trying to blend the lines between science and magic. When they have Jane Foster laid down on that table, and she's talking about, is this a quantum field generator? And they're like, no, we're, magically extracting your cells and having fairies fucking figuring out what's going on with, like a soul converter or something. And then Natalie Portman, spouts off something scientific and says, quantum field generator.
Energy from one area to another?
Yeah, quantum field generator. Big old smile and all that. So, I thought that was a neat nod to the first movie. Where Thor mansplains everything to her about the realms of the Nine.
You know what? I remember a scene that you brought up in the first movie when he's like, they take him to a diner and he drinks like a beverage and he throws it on the ground and he's like, another! Homeboy, that one guy, this big beardly friend of the Fearsome Three, whatever they're called. Yeah, there's that scene of them celebrating.
No, Hogan's the Asian guy. Volstagg.
The big guy, with the red hair, I think.
He's
like, he has like a kid on his lap and like a beer on his other leg, and he like finishes it and then he just tosses it up and he's like, another, and everyone's like, yeah, fucking another. And it's like, I know that it's Viking like celebration, whatever you want to call it. I just don't know where that's acceptable, is to throw this shit on the ground and say, thank you so much, can I have another?
There's a poor class in Asgard that we're just not privy to, but somebody has to, I gotta sweep up all these are good plates.
This is before human resources.
And you're just stepping on them like they're fucking peanuts out of fucking Cracker Jack barrel. Not right, man.
Let's see. Okay, so I'm assuming Loki helped kill his mother. Okay, and about that scene too. So they went to go hide in a room, like not even like hide behind the couch in the room. I like how they hide. They'll just hide in this room, and then they open the room, and the room is huge, and she hides in the middle. Jane Foster was perfectly placed. If you notice that scene, she never said a word.
Yeah,
it was because she didn't want to give off that she wasn't really there, I suppose, or maybe it was cheaper that way.
Yeah, but also like right before that, the ship flew into that living room, and you're meant to understand that Melikath is drawn to the Aether. So yeah, like I don't know why he didn't know that was a fake Jane Foster, but either way, he knows that he's close to it.
Dude, nobody can see deception in this movie. Odin can't tell that. The first thing is like Odin can't tell that that's not his son talking to him in the guard's uniform. This one guard showed up all by himself from this planet. Nobody knows how he got there. And he's just like, yo, everybody's dead. I think Loki's dead too.
Yeah, I guess you're just meant to understand that Loki's an incredible sorcerer, you know? And then, like, he can really pull one over on people.
Right. I suppose.
But my beef was, as the ship crashes into what is essentially Frigga's living room, it takes out every support pillar on its way in. Like it knocks down an entire Catholic cathedral's worth of stanchions to get to the living room. Like, how did that whole building not collapse under the weight of the ship that just came through? You know?
Yeah, that's a good point. I was looking at it like, I mean, it makes sense because I like how the people in front of it just ran away from it. Like, just 3 more feet of concrete and it's going to stop the ship. Like, I don't think that's how it works.
Oh.
It was clear this thing came in at full speed. But dude, yeah, I don't know, dude. I mean, those statues are, everything there is super tall. Like, all the buildings. Like, so I assume they got some good engineers. I think if we can do that shit in America, we have pyramids. Not in America, but
ones are like, let's see, if they take out 50 of these, I think the building
if one of those things flew into a pyramid, man, it'd be fine. It just depended on where it destroyed it. You know what I mean? I have no idea. Were the pyramids?
I do appreciate the futuristic weapons that the Dark Elves had. Did you like the implosion grenades? The suck your body into the fabric of reality.
It's not
fair. A fair thing to have.
Yeah, because otherwise, who was going to stop Algrim? Okay, about Algrim. There's this scene that doesn't make any sense to me. It's right after Thor's mom dies. Right where we are, basically. How perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Thor zaps Malekith in the face with somehow he only has enough time to do that is to zap him, and then what's his name jumps off the building with him, right?
Yeah, onto a very luckily placed ship.
and they're immediately inside and safely. Yeah, I guess you can jump in and out of those really quick, right? They showed Loki just falling out of them, right?
I mean, or something. Yeah, that ship just knew to be Loki there.
Well, no, I mean, remember when Thor was flying with Loki? He just pushed him out, and then he just jumped out with Jane. Those are weird ships.
Yeah, that little side door thing. Yeah,
it wasn't a door. It was just like you had to be inside the sphere, and then he just jumped out. He didn't open anything. He just threw Loki out, and then he just went through the shield. However, do you think that Algrim, accursed, whatever you want to call it, would whoop ass on the Hulk? Because it sure seems like it.
I mean, he was doing some pretty buff stuff, you know. I mean, outside of taking out the hammer and all that, he managed to kill an Asgardian in a way that you can't bring them back to life. I thought Frigga's funeral was pretty neat, but I don't understand how she doesn't just come back from that injury. I mean, she just got stabbed through the back. We've seen plenty of people come back from worse.
That's true, and that's what I want to know about the scene with him and Loki. Did Loki What exactly can he cover up with this whole mischief? Like he can, okay, if he's in his room and he threw a fit and he doesn't want you to see that fit, he can make it look like he's standing there in full uniform and he just did his makeup, right?
Hmm.
Okay, so he could also control the scene that happened when they showed up on the Dark Elves planet.
Yeah, I couldn't really figure it out. Yeah. Now I couldn't really figure out how much of that was an illusion. Like at what point, like, was the go of the plan to where, like, did he not chop off his hand, stab him in the stomach, and then push him down a hill? Like, I mean, surely that was part of the plan, but yeah. It seems like they kind of coordinated a little bit of that on the fly. But either way, cool sequence to get to have Loki hand over the Aether. That part went according to plan. Malekith got it out of her. Thor tried to destroy it, and then it just didn't work. They just boarded their ship and got Loki killed. Is that all that was?
Okay, hold on. What did he make? Okay, so he controlled what everybody saw he did to Thor, I suppose?
Yeah.
Okay, so why did he go...
Illusion magic.
Loki now! And then when Loki did it now, Thor stood up with no hand, and then he had to uncover the fact that he had a hand.
Right.
And then when it was like the hand wasn't there, and he waited for it to show up again, and then he called for Mjolnir.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I get...
So if he had his fist the whole time...
Right.
He waited for, like, Loki to, like, unwash everyone's eyes. Or wash their eyes.
They had to coordinate that part. Yeah.
No, he stood up and he was like, my hand, I need it now. And he was like, you got it, buddy. And he gave him his hand back. And then he's like, Mjolnir, no. You stand up and you go, and then your hand becomes free because your hand was never not there to begin with. Yeah. Mjolnir, come here. He didn't need Loki to give him the go. See how that doesn't make any sense at all?
Yeah, it was a little strange how they played that whole bit. But like, was him getting stabbed in the side a fake too?
The whole thing was.
Because it seemed like Jane Foster didn't even know about that part, because when he gets stabbed in the gut, that's up on the hill before they roll down, and like you see Thor get stabbed and Jane's like, no. So like, how was she not privy to it as well, or was she also going along? I don't know. Either way, it worked.
I'm trying to remember. Well, it would make sense that they don't want her to know because she might give it up, right? Because she's not part of the act, she might give it up.
They just don't trust her. She's an astrophysicist. I'm sure she can put on the confused face. I mean, hell, I was confused.
Did he have a one-on-one conversation with Loki? Yeah, he did. When he went to go grab him from his cell, he probably made part of that plan with him while he was also, before that, making the plan with that one guy who was recasted earlier. Yeah.
But do you want to talk about that scene? They after Thor busts Loki out of prison, they have a rousing little walk down the hallways as they catch up with each other. Loki's so happy to be out of prison.
There's some good information there. When they showed him dress up as Captain America, it looked like they were using the same uniform that I guess from the Avengers. Was it the same one?
Yeah, from the Avengers, that's the only time Loki got to meet Captain A.
So, yeah, that's what he would think he looks like. Yeah, that makes sense.
But he gave a very exaggerated performance of what Captain America is like. Truth, justice, God bless America. And then
do you want to talk about justice?
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
I thought that was cute.
Yeah.
And even the musical score changed a little bit to have Cap's theme ring through it just a bit. I thought that was cute, too. But back on
very
Anaheim,
comic-like, right?
All the time.
Yeah.
We see the Aether get yanked out of Jane. We see Malekith turn around, going back to his ship now that he's all super powerful. And
wait, we skipped something.
A fight scene comes up. Yeah, Loki gets jacked, and Thor deals with a bunch of baddies. This is why I like Thor Ragnarok better than these previous two Thor movies, is that the fight scenes in this are a little generic, beautifully shot, but there's no in Ragnarok they kind of go like psychedelic, the colors, and it's all set to crazy speed metal, and it's just a big old row. It's just a party, whereas this is kind of a nuts and bolts.
Well, this is pre-Guardians, dude. This is before they knew that they could have a lot of fun with the movie.
True. Yeah, and it is competently portrayed, so I'm not, upset at it at all. That was good. Anything to say for the fight scene about Loki getting gutted?
Did he dress up the entire part of him getting stabbed by the guy? And maybe that didn't happen at all?
Yeah, like how did he live through that? Man.
It's not how did he live through it. Like, did that, like, okay, so after he got stabbed in the back, after that, was every part of it an illusion?
Stabbed in the gut. He got bear hugged through the death.
Back. Motherfucker, let me tell you what's going on, okay? After Loki stabs him from the back, through the chest, comes out the front, right? Was everything an illusion outside of the bomb? The part where he looks at him, grabs him, stabs him through the chest, because then after that he throws the bomb at him.
Okay.
I mean, was he just going, okay, because clearly they know he's trying to betray him, and it's fucking Loki, so he's got a backup plan for everything.
Right.
It's like, and as we can see, it worked. But I'm saying, did he get stabbed at all?
Well, I mean, that's just left up to your interpretation on how Loki lived through that entire affair. I'm willing to say that he did get stabbed and just fucking knows some healing magic and just
that's
woke
possible.
Up to trick Odin later.
I still think this guy's going to be our Prince Vegeta for this entire for the Marvel whatever Infinity Wars. He's going to be the guy who's on the team of the Avengers. Everybody versus Thanos. That's basically what's going to happen. All bad guys join the good guys team.
Something close to that, I imagine.
They just keep pulling him back in, like, oh yeah, by the way, like, you had something to do with your mother dying, and now she's dead. What? Oh shit, I'm on it. Anything you want, I'll join your team, and then I'll leave at the end. Like, it's you still join the team, asshole. You didn't just join it to leave. There's some good guy in
well,
Loki.
Yeah, even with Loki's heartfelt goodbye, he's apologizing to Thor and all that, and even then, you never really get a sense of because Thor says your father would be proud of you. And Loki's like, I didn't do it for him, But you don't really get a sense of, like, who he did it for. Was it for Frigga? Was it for himself? Like, he's always looking out for himself. Is he that broken up about Mother? Like, yeah,
I mean,
it's hard to really place where Loki's head at in any given time in the movie,
I would say ultimately for himself. I mean, just because that makes the most sense. Because it's because it was definitely revenge.
Have some brotherly compassion for Thor as much as he's trying to gut him in every movie. He's genuinely cares for his brother. Even in the throne scene at the very end of the movie where Thor goes up to Odin / Loki and is explaining why he can't be king of Asgard. Like, Loki's saying all kinds of nice things about his brother. You don't have my blessing, but I, wish you well in your travels and adventures and all that shit. I'm under the impression that there's more to Loki than he's a selfish asshole,
Interesting. That's one. Well, what did you think about that scene? Do you think it was obvious the whole time that was Loki until they showed that it was Loki?
Yeah. Specifically, the line that gave it away for me in the first time in theaters was when he didn't take Thor's hammer back. Like, Thor hands out his hammer to give it back to Odin, the Allfather, who's worthy enough to have Thor's hammer. But Loki, not so much.
He can't take it.
So, and there was a pause briefly where like Loki's like, God damn it, I want that hammer so bad, but I can't have it. He's like, nah, you can keep it. You can fucking keep it. God damn it.
Well,
so, yeah, I thought that was cute.
I don't even know why that scene happened, though. Like, I mean, that part of the scene. Why would you give the hammer back? Was it like before you were king, which you're not? Did you have the hammer?
He wasn't king. Odin.
That's what I'm saying. King, but that's not. It's not Odin's hammer, and Thor had that before he was. No, he made that for Thor.
Well, he made it for Thor, but it's just understood that if Daddy wants his hammer back, then Daddy gets his hammer.
Well, I mean, it's one of those. It's like I can take it away anytime I want, kind of thing. But his dad doesn't use it, and his dad never used it. It was made for Thor.
Yeah, but in that scene, Thor is renouncing his claim to the throne. He doesn't want it anymore. So he's like, well, this hammer belongs with whoever the fucking king of Asgard's going to be. So he's like trying to be nice and give it back.
Okay, yeah, I guess I see your point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had to watch that scene a couple times, and I suppose for me, I didn't even think of the hammer part. I thought it because I thought it seemed like Anthony Hopkins talking to me, but the fact that he's standing
he's even
weird,
gangster leaning on the chair, you know?
Well, okay. Yeah, it seems like that's how I would like lean on the chair. Like if I was like in between, like I'm sitting down, but not for long. Like I just sat down for this moment, but he's holding on to the staff the whole time. He has this weird stance. And apparently Odin sits very formal where his like hands are in front. And it's like, fine. It didn't seem that obvious to me, my friend. I had to see him just hold on to the staff for so long. Like, why does he hold that? That's so weird. And Thor doesn't even know. And this is why it makes perfect sense in Thor 3 that he was just... That's why I'm thinking... I mentioned earlier, the last time you see Odin is when he goes, my appendix. Yeah. I assume he went straight to the Odin sleep, right? Because where the fuck is he?
We don't find out until the third movie. Really.
Can you answer me something? I thought a lot of things are like named after Odin. Well, because I used to think Jotunheim was Odinheim. I didn't know that. I'd never seen it spelt. I just heard it, so I thought Odinheim, and I was like, why is everything named after this guy? He's like the god or the king right now. He's clearly not the only one because he had a dad. His name was Bor. So was everything Bor this and Bor that?
Yeah, no. I got nothing.
Okay, so when he goes unconscious and he has to sleep like a vampire, why is it called Odin sleep?
Not the Bor sleep?
When that happens to Thor, you know? Is it going to be called the Odin sleep?
Yeah, interesting. No. So yeah, maybe there is something to your theory about there being another convergence here and there, because Odin does seem to be the like a creating figure, but apparently he was just in charge of a bunch of wars that shaped the Nine Realms. Yeah, there's not much that I know about Bor at all.
Yeah, I thought it was just it's probably someone who they just made up last minute to go, look, okay, show's about Thor, but he had to have a dad, and his dad's very important, but he had to have a dad. Then I start forgetting who Odin was, but I remember now. In Final Fantasy, he would just show up after you beat him, and he would show up and kill people for you. That's all I remember. You'd be like, oh shit, these cactus came to... And then you'd see this flash and go, oh, Odin's coming. And then you'd just be this dude on a horse with an owl, just... And everybody would just fall, just get severed, just be cut in half, fall apart. Like, fucking Odin!
Let's take it back to Earth. The Aether is now firmly in the grasp of Malekith, so it's up to our heroes. They find their way back through a magic portal to Earth, show up with Selvig, Jane Foster's interns, Darcy and whatever McBloke, and they devise a plan to stop the convergence, to make the convergences, I guess, out of alignment, and subsequently take out Malekith at the same time? Is that what we're led to believe, that those sticks that Selvig has? He gives a monologue at the old folks' home. By the way, this is our Stan Lee cameo.
All right, good, perfect. I was leaning into this. I thought we skipped it already.
No, we have not. This Stanley character, or Stanley cameos, where Selvig explains the crux of his plan and the entire third act of the film, but I don't quite understand what he is trying to get accomplished, because his instruments make no sense to me. So what were they trying to do by planting those sticks in Greenwich as the convergence was lining up?
This is what brings together what you and I were talking about earlier. Remember that scene where Selvig said it was made to do this, not that, basically?
Yes, he says my instruments were made to detect anomalies, not create them. And then Natalie Portman says, "Oh, that's an easy fix." Presses a few buttons,
the reverse button,
and creates an anomaly.
Okay, so maybe this isn't exactly that, but I thought it was like that. Okay, so what he's doing is he's saying the sticks that he plants are supposed to stop Earth from being part of this alignment. So basically, it's like when they all pass through each other, none of them are going to come through Earth, and there's going to be no portal from there to there. But what ends up happening, I guess she reverses it, and instead of stopping it from happening, it causes it to happen, right?
All right, and that's how she was able to
send him back to his home.
People in and out of reality. Okay, yeah. I'm willing to accept that.
By the way, god damn it, that's such a badass character.
Who?
Link.
Oh,
her versus Nightcrawler, man.
Blank's better because she's got that whole long range thing down without being tired.
Yeah, and that's so she's the Flash to Quicksilver.
Yeah, essentially. So we make it to some of the higher points of comedy in this show of reality, blinking in and out of the 9 realms, as we get a bombastic fight sequence that takes place with Thor waving his hammer around and everything. Like how'd we appreciate Milner trying desperately to catch up through different realms of existence to make it back to his master.
That scene was kind of weird because it made me think a couple of different things. Like, how does it turn corners? There was a couple times where there's a couple times where it just missed the building on purpose. Like it was flying in between buildings and was like, make this left. Okay, wait, no, he's gone. Just go straight up. And it went straight up and it broke all the windows in this building. And now I'm starting to understand what the Civil War is about. Nobody got hurt. What do you mean nobody got hurt? This hammer.
I mean, a bunch of people died, but nobody got hurt.
Jesus Christ! Like, I get that they stopped this character from before Jesus was born, from taking over like all these, realities or whatever it's called, realms, but not at the same time.
Right. Yeah. Now, okay. We raised this argument on the last podcast whether or not kidnapping the president is enough to call all of the Avengers, and we decided that no, I think you're good with Iron Man and War Machine, because at the very least, or at the very worst, if Killian had got his plan, then he's orchestrated another terrorist attack and kind of has control of a little bit of like a puppet president. And play in America, but for the most part, he still has to amass an army and then destroy the world. So give it to Iron Man and War Machine. This, however, is the end of the fucking world.
The realms, man, all of them.
The end of all worlds. Okay, this is a little bit more than Thor.
This is right? Pre-Galactus. Galactus.
This is all bad for everybody involved. And it's all in the hands of Thor.
But it wasn't just Thor though. I mean, other than the fact that he was working with Jane Foster and she, reverse engineered that one thing to take the Dark Elf back to his home exactly, I believe is where he went.
Yeah. The ship fell on him. They just got lucky in that regard that the portal just showed up there, I guess.
Yeah, and are we skipping to the end real quick? Are we supposed to believe that everybody knows that Malekith is dead? Because all that they know is he transported back there. They don't know that the ship that was supposed to fall on them.
Also importantly, we don't actually see them get the ether back. We understand that, by the time they're handing it to the collector, that they're in possession of it. But no, they sent Malekith away to Anaheim, Svalbard, with the ether thoroughly in him. Granted, he was all fucked up from getting impaled by a hammer, but still had the ether.
Yeah, was he just super vulnerable when he was taking over all the realms?
Yeah, video game weak spot. No, they had they had launched those Eric Selvig's devices like into his body. They like blinked his arm away, and there was one in his chest, and then they did that, slow motion sequence of Thor flying through the air, bashing a hammer into it like a spike to a vampire.
Yeah, he jumped at him like okay, one hand had the hammer and the other one had the nail, I suppose. But he just kind of fell on him, and then what you saw in one shot was, I guess, him hammering the nail at the same time, right?
Yeah. That's all it takes. You win the day when something badass like that happens.
Well, that's pretty badass. He does that same move over and over again, though. Just the jump 30 feet move.
Yeah, until the third one, when they give him all the bells and whistles. But yeah. All right. Holy crap, we made it to the end of this thing.
Wait,
fluidly.
You're right. We did kind of kill it. That's can I talk about Loki real quick?
There's a bunch of things I do want to talk about. Let's take a break and wrap this show pony up with all the fun stuff.
All right, we are back, and we're gonna finish off the Thor Dark World podcast.
You had a few things that you wanted to bring up, but first let me say that this film did $206 million in theater in the grossing, but that's only the 23rd overall Marvel film, and this is the first. This is the first of the installments in the MCU to just use the Marvel Studios logo, so no Paramount, no other fun stuff in front, just Marvel. And I'm talking about the whole Marvel card sequence where the whole screen flashes red and big ass Marvel and comic book panels all up in your face.
That's true too.
Yeah.
Totally true.
All right, now what were you on?
Well, it was Loki made this comment to Algrim, one of my favorite characters in this show.
He's also Killer Croc in Suicide Squad. Did you know that? The actor Adewale Akajinoba Akajambi.
I didn't know that. I liked Killer Croc. But so what are we talking about?
Does it have BT? How about some chicken and hog mogs? Anybody want to play dominoes? Fucking hated that.
Stop distracting me
so much.
You remember that movie very well.
It just pisses me off every time I think about it.
You didn't like it?
Not even a little bit.
Oh.
Not even a little bit.
First of all,
Algrim, he's your favorite.
Oh yeah, that scene. So yeah, Loki like throws that grenade at him, and as he's trying to get out of that fucking vortex of grenade, whatever that he threw at him.
Yeah, antimatter.
Then I'll see you in hell, which kind of sounds weird to me because I don't understand the whole mythology or the god thing. Like, so there is a hell, but it's not our hell as far as Jesus and devil. But there is a hell that's ran by.
We're not working on biblical verses here.
But there is a bad place that you go after you die, ran by Hela.
I think Surtur is the lord of that world, but yeah, the nine realms are a part of Norse mythology, and I think he's talking about Helheim. This is the realm of the dead, is where he will see him again, assuming that that particular dark elf believes in the northern pantheon.
Whose planet is that?
Whose hell does he get to go to? Who's to say, man?
Well, you said it's called Helheim, right?
Yeah, Helheim is one of the nine realms. I assume it's the big red one that you get to see over the skies of Greenwich.
Huh. Okay. Well, yeah, I thought that was kind of weird because it's like.
Yeah, it's where Frodo threw the ring in the fires of Mordor. Helheim. That's where you go.
Really?
No, but yes. I think we also visited Vanaheim. That's where the Asian character Hogan is from. One of the only people that gets a good character moment in Thor Ragnarok. We get to see his homeworld. That's the one where they're taking out like this. When Thor is putting down rebellions in the nine realms, they go to Vanaheim to take out like a group of like steampunk mercenaries in that scene where they take out Cronin. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's on Vanaheim.
Vanaheim.
Yeah.
I wonder if they teach people how to fight there. What was up with Malekith being 5,000 plus years old and like got his ass whipped by what's her name? Frigga,
and Asgardians are just ridiculously hard to kill. You got to understand, it's Mount Olympus up there. Each one of them is powerful in their own right, you know?
But it wasn't like killing. It was like she just pulled a knife on him and almost killed him. And it was just like, movie over.
She's over. A better fighter than he is. You can kind of see where A, Thor gets his love of fighting from, and B, where Loki gets his love of trickery from. You know? She's got that illusion magic and the fighting skills.
Okay, I thought it was in like True Blood. I know we're not talking about that show, but in that show it's like the older you are, the stronger you are. You're just supposed to, on this belief system that like, well, I mean, if you never die, the older the stronger. Yeah, that makes sense, right? Because it's like you just get better as you get older. There's no health issues, right? Like Thor, like the older he gets, the stronger he gets, right?
Right. Yeah, sure. Okay.
I don't know. I saw this episode of Avengers. It was a cartoon, but no spoilers for what's going to happen in the movie. This was a cartoon, but they fought Thanos, and he had the gauntlet, and he used the time stone, and everybody died. But Thor, he just got older, and he was just like, Thor.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah. Wow. I hope that gets incorporated into the movie. Yeah, because Thor is essentially immortal.
He was only getting better. Yeah, he's in his prime, right?
For all time, I guess.
But I'm just assuming that Malekith is older than Thor's mom. So
God.
Maybe he knows how to fight. Maybe, just maybe. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe she shouldn't be able to kill him in a hand-to-hand combat.
If the prologue of this film is to be believed, that fool's been in like cryo sleep since the last time they called him out.
Is that what happens every time he's not telling people what to do as he goes to bed in the ship?
I mean, they love darkness, so I guess he just puts on like those sleep apnea blindfolds and just goes to sleep.
That's the part that's most unbelievable about the movie. And as far as a science fiction movie goes, it's just like it doesn't make... That's what makes him kind of a boring character, I guess. Like, what are you doing? He's like, fuck this. I'm going to get this power and take over. You guys do it for me. I'm going to sleep.
Yeah, he's incredibly one note. He's incredibly one note. But I like it. You know what he's about from the get-go.
He's a character who hasn't changed in over 5,000 years.
Not going to waste any time with jokes. Yeah, I mean, it's just crazy that they got such a big-name actor to play him, you know? And it's a good actor, too. Fuck, I love him at Gone in 60 Seconds.
For me, I'm just looking at him as like you were kind of saying how this was too much for Thor, and I agree. But this character should... Do you think this character predates Thanos?
Yeah, older than Thanos? Yeah, probably. Older than the Mad Titan himself? Sure,
and Thor took this guy out. I assume the older the villain, again, I'm back on my if they never die, they should be better as they get older. Like the older the villain.
But that's not universal. That's that whole the notion that as you age you get better with it, like that only applies.
But why wouldn't that work? How would, if you just had infinite
all right,
tries,
let's take another character within Marvel lore. Like there's the Collector, and then there's the Game Master. What the fuck is Jeff Goldblum's character name in Ragnarok?
The Ringmaster?
No, that is a term relegated to circus carnival leaders.
Whatever.
We'll call them the Game Master, for lack of that. But the point is that none of them were powerful. They'd just been alive for a very long time. They weren't showing any signs of being decrepit or crippled or anything, but they weren't, world beaters or anything. Neither
were
of them
they
were.
Smarter? You don't have to be stronger as you get older. I get that. But if you're going to live forever, everything should get better, right?
Well, they have the wisdom of the 5 or however long they've been around. But, yeah,
Okay, that's my point. Just assume that, like, I'm not going to live forever, but 1,000 years from now, I'd hope I'd be smarter than everyone I know right now.
Yeah.
If that doesn't happen.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. What are you doing with your time?
Exactly. But yeah, I'm saying, the dude might be 10,000 years old. Does he know how to fight? No, maybe not. But somehow he's this villain.
Not to immediately get murdered by Frigga.
What did this guy do exactly? I'm still into this, by the way. So he converted the darkness into ether. This is important dialogue in the movie. So he did not make it the darkness, but he did channel it, right? So he feels when that energy is moving. He is connected to it. In a way, he created one of the Infinity Stones, right?
He what?
In a way, he created an Infinity Stone.
I wouldn't go so far as to say he created it, but yes, he's definitely harnessing the power of the aether to achieve its plans.
And he made the ether, is what I'm saying, out of the darkness.
No, he did not make it. The Infinity Stones. No, the Infinity Stones are part of a singularity that have been around since time immemorial. He's channeling the power of the Reality Stone to return all of the realms to darkness.
Why are you afraid to say the word? I'm looking at the script of the movie right now. Odin says their leader Malekith made a weapon out of the darkness. It's called the Ether. He made the weapon out of the darkness. So. And he feels it. He's made a weapon
out of the aether.
It's not like he built a gun, Trey. He built a gun, and he can feel when the gun goes off. He's connected to this. He basically made an Infinity Stone.
He's drawn.
Because otherwise, it wasn't a stone, right? It was darkness. Which, can you break that down for me? What is darkness?
No. The darkness and the aether are separate. The darkness is just the void, the absence of anything happening. And that's what they want to return to. This
what does that concept mean then? Of Malekith made a weapon out of the darkness.
Yeah, so he took the ether and used it as a weapon to make light go away.
Am I understanding this wrong? That just means in the darkness, which means where he's from, he made a weapon. Because to me, I thought it was like darkness is around and he goes, I'm grabbing this darkness and I'm going to make this relic out of it and it's going to do this. That's what I thought. I don't understand. It's very confusing. Am I the only one?
I mean, I'm willing to go with you as long as you just acknowledge that Infinity Stones are super duper old.
So he's smart enough to make a weapon out of this, but this guy, so that's where he spent his time. And then when it comes down to hand combat, he's just like, nah, I never learned it.
About that life.
It's like Japanese. I just never learned it, dude. It was going on around me. I just never made time for it.
Yeah.
What are you doing with your time? Okay, so can you explain the Collector to me? Because other than seeing him on screen, I know jack shit about this guy.
And I know very little about him too. Yeah, honestly, I can't tell you much outside of what's in the movie. Yeah.
Damn it, Trey, what good is having a Marvel nerd friend are you if you only know X-Men and we're not making X-Men podcasts?
Look, man, all I know is just Benicio del Toro looks so good when he's tired.
The whole movie looks good, though. Everything looks good. Fucking the graphic. I assume, they're really trying to dress him up as whatever animated character he looks like. Unlike Thor, where they just, make his hair, give him long hair or let his hair grow and put him in a costume and he's Thor, right?
Hey, in this one, that's actually his hair in Avengers, and I think the first Thor he had a wig on, but he decided to grow it out for this film. Just a little side note, a little something.
It's pretty legit. Didn't, what's his name do the same thing from Game of Thrones? Alexander Carrington? Is that his name? Jon Snow.
Kit Harington?
Kit Harington. I'm sorry.
That's
he grew his hair out, right?
Yeah.
Die Hard, man. That's how they get all the bitches.
Or something.
Something about those good looks, I suppose. Did you see that part where there's now a monster loose on Earth?
I hope that comes in some way. I hope like the Defenders or something have to deal with that thing, please. But it's stuck in London right now, so I don't know who's gonna tussle with that. But yeah, something from Jotunheim is loose on Earth. Thought that was a cute end sequence, and yeah, it definitely gave the impression that Thor and Jane Foster were gonna be a thing, only to be written off in the third movie. It's a shame. Not even in the third movie. I think by Age of Ultron they're broken up, right? No, because I know Pepper Potts leaves Tony in Age of Ultron,
and that's what they all do.
Yeah.
How do you leave him? She's like, I got superpowers now, bitch.
Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah. And I wasn't so shaken up because okay, look. Your side characters are doing exactly what you want them to do in this one. Nobody's being Happy Hogan and driving cars onto racetracks. There's no Gwyneth Paltrow's turning into fire monsters and kicking bullets into people's faces. Like,
oh, you don't like the Super Friends?
Pocket. They're all scientists doing scientific shit. You know, and some of them are even fucked up from the events of the previous movies. Eric Selvig still doesn't want to put on pants because Loki traumatized him so much. I thought that was a great joke that they threw in there, because this is literally right after Loki dies, and Thor is in Jane Foster's apartment, and he's like, "Oh, my brother's dead," and Selvig's like, "Yes,
right?
Thank God." And then he sees that Thor's not as shaken up about it. He's like, "Oh, I mean, you know, my condolences," or whatever. But fuck that guy. I hate him. I hate him. But yeah, they stayed within the realm of side characters. Don't let them go nuts. Even though Homeboy dropped a car on some dark elves, I was okay with it. They were trying to escape with their lives.
Good. All right. Good point. You kind of wrapped it up on that one.
I think so. You know, I'm proud of this. I think it ran way too long. Are we like deep into the 2 hours?
We are. Real quick, the Tesseract. So they got the Tesseract over there. What's real quick the Collector? So is he?
Yes. So
is he collecting them for Thanos? Do you think?
I don't think he's working with Thanos, much like the Game Master. Man, I gotta look up Jeff Goldblum's character. Give me some chatter while I fucking figure out who Jeff Goldblum is.
Well, because I don't know much about the Collector himself, so I don't know why he, why they just entrust him with one of the other Infinity Stones, as they call them at the end of the credits scene.
Grandmaster. So you heard what Volstagg, or maybe it was Sif, but one of them said that it's not wise to keep 2 Infinity Stones in the same location. So we are giving you the Aether to keep in your vault for all of time to look at, and I'm guessing masturbate too, because that's his purpose in life, is to just collect.
And the super hot chicks. He's got some hot girls there, man. Pink.
The Kree. They're his secretaries, I guess. Pepper Potts is of space.
The girl who commits suicide in the Guardians movie.
Yeah, Kreese.
She's a Kree?
But yeah, him and the the Collector and the Grandmaster are brothers, and they're kind of like ancient archetypes of, old worldy fame. So the Grandmaster exists to put on these tournaments between just creatures that he's captured throughout his very long lifespan. Ditto the Collector just wants to house all these incredible beings. So like usually when people come into contact with the Collector from the comics, it's because the Collector literally wants that person behind glass in his vaults in space, so he'll like go after the Hulk because he's never seen anything like this creature. So yeah,
kind of scary.
I mean, he has henchmen. It's not him doing it himself. But yeah. So this post-credit sequence teased Guardians of the Galaxy. I thought it was pretty neat, and I didn't know that it would be tied to the Guardians of the Galaxy film when I saw it.
How did it? Guardians.
Yeah. That's
what are you talking about?
What they're teasing. They're the next time we get to see the Collector is in Guardians, but you don't really understand that that's what they're teasing at the time. In fact, they're going to be 2 more films, right? 2 more films before we get to Guardians of the Galaxy.
No, I think it's one more before. I think it goes right.
Captain A and then Guardians.
Oh, okay. It might be Avengers before Guardians. You think? No, Avengers is right before Ant-Man.
Okay.
Gotta look at that list. I know next we should hype that up. The next movie we're gonna, because, all right, Trey, hold on. Let's wrap this up for real. What are your last thoughts? Hold on, last thoughts on this movie. How'd you feel?
Shit, what did I say at the top? I forgot what I said at the top. I want to kind of be consistent, but I think I definitely like this more than I did Iron Man 3. Definitely Thor Ragnarok is better, but this sits in a nice medium because I could kind of see what they're trying to do with these first two Thor movies. You know, it's a Shakespearean drama, a tale of two brothers fighting to fucking figure out themselves in outer space, trying to reconcile with their father and all that weird shit. It was
Quicksilver Surfer in Thor 4.
Yeah, right. The movie's put together well, but it does suffer from a one-note villain, which I'm okay with. I told you I like Malekith's outlook on life, but I do think that they fast forward through some character beats that could have been incorporated, and especially when it comes to Lady Sif and the Warriors 3, I feel like those people kind of get short shrift in Heimdall too. You only really get to see Heimdall when he's fucking up or committing treason. You know, he doesn't really get to do anything besides that. But otherwise, yeah, I felt I enjoyed this movie, and I didn't think I would. so that's nice.
Okay, so is it your second favorite Thor?
Yeah. Yeah, I think I like this better than the first one.
You have to. I do as well. Hey Jabril, what do you think about this movie? All right, well, I like this movie a lot more than I did the first time around. I thank me for asking. First time around, meaning like when I saw it a long time ago, I'd say it's better than the first Thor. I probably liked it more than Iron Man 3. In fact, it's probably my favorite movie right now as of Phase 2. I really like the whole, just the graphics. There's a couple of, funny moments that I feel like they didn't go overboard with it. The boss was kind of hard for me to understand, especially me having to look the dialogue up, but
tonally, do you like the tone of this movie more than you do Ragnarok? Because there were jokes, and I really only felt like they came at the end. Thor boarding a subway, and some funny things that happened with his hammer. But it's definitely not the same tone as Ragnarok, where jokes are littered throughout the proceeding, oftentimes getting in the way of the plot that's transpiring. So do you prefer this tone over what you see in Thor Ragnarok, or do you enjoy Thor Ragnarok more? Because I want to say overall Ragnarok's a better movie.
Yeah, Part 3 was really easy to enjoy, but this movie, like, not to sound whatever it's called, that sounds silly, but there's a darker tone to this movie, even though it's called Thor The Dark World, but it's literally everything about it is darker than the third one. There are very few jokes in this movie.
I disagree, though. I think Ragnarok takes it to a much darker place than this movie. I mean, for goodness sake, Thor loses a fucking eyeball. All of his family is dead. and
his mom already died. She died in the second movie.
Yeah. But literally, Asgard is down to like a handful of people on a ship, and by the end of the post credits, we understand that ship is fucking toast. So Thor loses everything, a hammer and an eyeball by the end of Ragnarok. So I think that's a much darker movie.
We didn't go over that movie yet. God damn it. This movie's definitely darker than the first one, unless you want to just say something about that. God damn.
Sorry, go on.
Thanks for shitting on my point.
But yeah,
I've clearly seen this one more than I've seen Thor 3.
True.
Thor 3 twice now. I watched this movie twice this weekend.
And what you could say is that tonally, this film is way more dour than Ragnarok. It's much more serious-faced, trying to tell you a story that we believe in and all that, whereas Ragnarok is preoccupied with telling you jokes, but draping it with all kinds of sadness that we're going to make you ignore by having the Hulk face plant into the Rainbow Bridge.
Yeah, and it was one of the badass bosses, like, to help you get another Infinity Stone, like, according, to keep the plot going. Because I feel like once I heard about Avengers, I started thinking about the whole Infinity Wars myself. And then when I see that, a few Marvel movies are going by, and I'm just like, how many stones are out there? Like, isn't this movie coming out in like 2 years? I feel like there's a lot. Like, so which ones have we covered so far? So one was space, right? The Tesseract?
Yeah, no. At this point, and we're keeping track, we only got 2 named Infinity Stones, even though we've seen 3 with Loki's staff being the Mind Stone. So it's only the Tesseract / Space Stone and the Aether / Reality Stone at this point.
That's what that is reality?
Yeah, because it's literally manipulating the principles of reality, causing 9 realms to converge.
Seems like that's something space should be able to do. But yeah, okay.
Well, I mean, we just had the existential argument of what hell are they going to? I mean, it's manipulating the principles of reality, I'll see you in hell. Well, which one?
I just never thought about it. But the Reality Stone, you think, what's her name? Scarlet Witch. She's going to get hold of that shit? Start making some shit happen? That's how what's his name grows hair in the preview? Like, look, bitch, I'm tired of you looking robotic.
Nah, that's just programmed into Vision's fucking settings. He's just manipulating his avatar like it's Grand Theft Auto.
Okay, so space, Reality Stone, and next movie is The Winter Soldier, and I am pretty stoked because I know this movie has some dope-ass combat scenes.
You'll be
introduce us to some new villains. Right?
Well, I'm trying to think. It's a pretty closed off movie, like standalone is the sequel to Captain America. Yeah. In fact, this one I have no complaints that the Avengers aren't in it because it's very like a little personal crime drama with the Winter Soldier.
Are all these movies after Avengers supposed to be happening around the same time, or am I not keeping that close detail?
I mean, you could put them the same months apart or years apart, even that the films come out.
Well, because like that scene where where they're dragging Loki to Odin, it seemed like he just got back from Earth.
That literally happened right from Avengers. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, that could literally.
So right now is this Winter Soldier happening? Technically, like while the battle in Asgard.
Well, honestly, that's kind of a bit of a contradiction because at the same time Loki's trial is going on, you see Thor is suppressing the rebellion, killing all the Skywalkers, and the Rainbow Bridge has been repaired. So maybe they just had him in jail and then whipped him out to do a trial.
Okay, good point. I'm thinking way too into this again. I guess, but you know what? I feel like. You got mad at me last show because I said something about, the first time I saw this, I thought this, but the second and third time, and you were like, go back to the first. And I'm like, you can't do that. You can't just do that because that's not fair. Because once you release something, that's it. It's out there. It's over. People are allowed to pause it, rewind it, fast forward it. There's nothing you can do about it. Your movie better make sense. And like, you have 90 minutes to go. There's no room for fat. You're not allowed to have fillers. Like, this movie better make sense scene by scene, because I'm going to pause it one day, be in the same room as a director, and be like, what happened here? I wasn't in charge. Bullshit. Millions of dollars were on the line. Okay, you understand? This doesn't make sense how this character's in 2 places at once.
Yeah. That's a negative note to leave it on, but let's go ahead and give them the links anyway. Everybody think about their lives.
What are the links? You can see us at Infinity Warmup. It's our Twitter handle. I think we still have shit going on Facebook. InfinityWarmup at gmail.com. We already talked about the next one we're going on. I also, you could hit me up at Jabriel Parimal at Facebook because I'm not afraid to use my actual name. And I also have the Is It Just Me podcast on there, but I have not done one in a while, so you probably haven't found it. But that's on iTunes. We're on iTunes at Infinity Warmup. Free. Were you?
That is it, man. You covered it. I'm so fucking proud of you. It's ridiculous.
Man. Proud of us.
Yeah.
I'm proud of this movie, and I'm stoked for the next one.
And honestly, as much links as we have, we're thorough in populating the social webs. But honestly, just everybody go to Twitter. Go to Twitter. That's the one I care about the most.
Find us at Twitter because that's the one we care about, dog.
All right. Fucking until next time. This is Infinity Warmups. We'll be back with the Winter Soldier.
We'll be back in about 2 weeks with Infinity Soldier. Infinity Soldier, whatever it's called. Peace out. All right. Hold on. Don't say anything. Last thoughts on this movie. How'd you feel?
Shit, what did I say? I forgot.